Are you familiar with the whisper? I don't know. It was on D&D Beyond, but the whispering web spider druid, the circle of the whispering web.
No idea, but
Oh,
that's
that's
fine.
one that
Just
I made.
throw
I made that.
throw whatever
You
you,
can use
got
that.
into chat.
Yeah, you can
It's
use
really
that.
cool.
I'll look it up.
If you want to use it, you can.
It's like a moon druid, just flavored for Lolth.
Yep. Kinda. And then you can
Okay,
make
you-
webs out of
you
memories
transform
and
into
stuff.
spiders, in other words.
I do like the whole turn into a Drider versus turn into an elemental, though. I do like that. Creepy as hell.
It's quite.
It's gonna be a big game.
Yeah, usually
All right.
in the past
So
we've done like max 8.
Okay, so okay, I guess we've got everybody here, and it's time to start. So let's go ahead and get started. The ethereal blue glow of gas lamps light the street as you're heading out, back out from from South London. You've heard from Johnny Lords, the head of one of the largest gangs in London, that some people have been missing, gone missing on the south side, the south ward of London, and he's looking for people to look into this issue for him because he protects this area, and he feels it's his responsibility to look into this since the coppers won't do it and the nobles definitely won't. So it's your response now. Now that he's hired you, it's your responsibility to look into it.
Makes sense.
He has some other issue that he and the boys have to take care of that he's not able to look into it personally, so he's hired you as freelancers to look into it. So far, you've talked to the washerwomen who wash by the Thay, who are often big gossips, and you can find out a little bit of anything from the washerwomen, and they've told you. And they wax poetic about 3 new merchants in the South Ward, almost completely ignoring your queries about the missing people, because in their view, people go missing in the South Ward all the time. It's nothing new. It's nothing unique. It's like I don't know why Johnny Lords is interested in this particular matter, but they talk about Sweeney, the meat pie merchant, who has the sweetest pies that ever have touched your lips. Geraldo the butcher, the finest cuts of meat, essentially. He's a handsome Italian gentleman. And then Swain the barber, fix you right up. It's like, we haven't had a good barber in these parts for the better part of like a decade, so they're very happy that Swain is here. But supposedly a number of people have gone missing and been and not but the unique thing is their bodies have not turned up. So you got a tip from one of the washerwomen that perhaps you should talk to Tree. Your mic is open.
I think she said to mute her. I just turned her down.
I can probably go invade her
Well,
chat.
anyways, we can just
I'll be right back.
I guess everybody can individually mute mute Tree. Oh, never mind. I have the server rights. All right, looks like I can mute Tree. All right, so okay, so the one of the washerwomen suggests, well, perhaps you can talk to old Lady Maeve over there. Her son went missing recently, and so he's one of the missing. And you are at Lady Maeve's house at this point. She's looking at you all. She's all looking at you directly. It's like, well, Who might you be?
Oh,
There's a lot of you standing out right outside my door. Essentially, you got to be here for some reason.
We're
Well-
searching for missing people.
Well, yeah,
that-
my son went missing. I think he ran off with that tart of a woman he's been mooning over.
Who's this woman?
Oh, Isami. She's a gypsy. It's like, don't trust her eyes, don't trust her looks, don't trust her people.
Can you tell
That's
us where to
not very
find this
nice.
person?
Isami, she's in the Romani camp, like a little south of town. Actually, they're camping out on the greens.
Do you have a picture or anything of your son?
She pulls out a locket, and there's a sort of crude drawing in charcoal in the locket of a sort of like middle-aged individual, basically slightly balding. You're guessing he's just like he has sort of a young face, so you're guessing he's just one of those people that were poor unfortunates, where his hair started falling out in his 30s. Brownish hair, sort of grayish eyes. His mother definitely has grayish eyes, and pale skin, just like everybody else in London.
Well, we might as well start at the gypsy camp if we're to locate this boy.
I kind of want to
other
go
thing-
check out that meat pie shop.
And then
I
there's the
would-
Tastes good.
other. Oh yeah, so there's signs for Sweeney's pies all over the place, as well as Geraldo's Butcher and Swain the Barber. Is just like there's placard runners just like all over the place, like sandwich board runners all over the place with their various establishments plastered all over them. Like running up and down the street, essentially can't miss them. And if you pull one aside, they tell you exactly where their business is. The other things you may want to look into is generally checking out the south side itself and checking for other rumors if you want to interrogate other people. Some of you are from the south side at this point, so since if you're non-human, you are effectively from the south side, because London is definitely a human-centric town, let's put it that way. South side is where all the foreigners and the Fey refugees from the Fey War all have sort of like settled down at this point. All right. At this point, if you are a non-human character, come up with something and tell it to me at this point of how you are linked to the South Side. Why are you here? What are you doing? Essentially, how you ended up in either as a refugee here or because a lot of people are refugees as far as their other. Or it's like, why did you come here? Basically, because London is still an area of great opportunity. So, how did you end up in London?
I'm a werewolf, and I was born here. Do I have to make one up for this?
So you are a Southie not by choice. You were originally a human, and you fought in the Great Fey War, essentially. So the Iron Wars. So. Tirnanog fell basically some about 8 years ago under the sword of the Great British Empire, and but this has basically left the Fey people homeless at this point, and they've sort of resettled into the South Side as a sort of new immigrant / refugee workforce that is fueling the sort of next wave of industrialism within London at the moment. You work the dirt. But the fact that you no longer look human has pretty much relegated you to the South Ward.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Do you still live a middle class lifestyle? Do you still have a little bit of family money left, or are you destitute at this point?
Other than the little bit, that I still have the 200 GP, I still technically, I think I have, a family house, but they, don't believe that it's me, essentially.
So you've been disowned at this point, but you have 200 gold to your name, and it is not taking you 200 pounds to your name, but it will not take you far at this point.
Yeah.
You're still trying to figure out what to do. You're one of the late returners from the war. Okay, anybody else who is a non-human?
I'm human.
I could
I
go.
am an elf.
Okay. So you're definitely from Tirnanog then. So why are you here? Are you a refugee? Are you a semi-well-to-do noble? It's like, what do you do in the Southward?
I am pretty much like a paladin priest type deal with the church. So I'm just in here like on a humanitarian type of deal.
Okay, so you are a... Okay, so do you worship the old gods, or do you worship the human god, basically the one true god?
The old gods.
Okay. All right, so you effectively work like a cult leader at this point, because the new gods, the old gods are not welcome within the precepts of London. So there's an underground of people that still worship the old gods, basically of Tirnanog, but it's like that practice is illegal, and we'll get you thrown in London Tower, basically, and made to be disappeared. There are special, like, black and gold uniformed policemen, essentially, that force this on behalf of the crown, that are specifically inquisitors that are bad news. You know them well, but you also know, basically, a large network of, like, the underground worshippers of the old ways. Generally all Fae. All right, and then anybody else? I think Charlie
Lawrence?
Song, you're from like you're from sort of back east, as it were, basically. So you're from the far and mysterious east. What brought you here?
I would imagine my parents brought me here at a young age, and were killed in some
Okay.
accident.
All right, so you're sort of orphaned here, but you've made your living here. So Charlie Song, how do you make your living here?
By inventing things. Kinda just...
All right. You're a tinker of things, essentially. You have a small shop within the South Ward. A lot of it is sort of like fixing things for people, like a repair shop for people. But you definitely sort of invent things on the side. You've never gotten quite enough money to basically go the full inventor route, but essentially you hope to gain that basically by being a freelancer. Okay. All right. Tomb.
Yes.
Yes. So you're definitely non-human, but like, where do you come from? What do you do?
I kind of wanted to do a thing where it was like Ismene was a traveling student type thing, basically documenting and trying to learn from what had gone on in the war and basically how the cities and towns were coping and adapting to the situation that they were in from a neighboring area.
So you're a traveling scholar. You're a wanderer. You've always wandered, essentially. Like transient things like wars have never really affected you because you've never ever called someplace your home before.
No.
Okay, so there you go. All right. Now the human characters, you're established people within London, essentially. So
Krishan is a half moon
why are
elf.
you here, and what do you do? Say again.
He said he was a half something elf. Didn't you say?
Yeah, half elf.
You're half elf. You could live in either world, so you can pass. So you can either you can effectively live as part of human society, or you can live as part of the South Ward. So what do you want to do?
Well, she was I took the noble background. She was like a doctor, but got disowned from her family due to addiction.
Okay.
So
you have partaken of morphine and the poppy. Essentially, you are still addicted at this point. Okay, so that is a South Side sort of like South Side addiction, essentially. But do you come from a noble human family or a noble Fae family?
I guess normal human family would make it easier.
Okay, so you are a favored son or a daughter of a noble family at this point. You're the black sheep, obviously, because you have an addiction at this point, but you come from basically privilege and wealth. Essentially, you are a noble from Westminster. Okay, and then anybody else?
Shay is a human. I did the custom lineage, but I'm running with human. Basically, is a I wouldn't say well known, more infamous owner of a creepy curio shop on this side of town, and
Okay.
what he does in the back with a few people is basically voodoo. Is he practices basically a lot of spider worship and forms
Okay.
of that. So very
Are
few
you
people know that.
actually black and or a Hogan, or are you Caucasian?
I wasn't sure. I was probably gonna go with Haitian, but I don't think I can pull a Haitian accent off.
Okay, no, that's fine. You can be black if you want to be. Just like it adds another dimension, obviously, because like brown people just obviously don't get the same treatment as white people in London.
Right.
So.
Right. I'd probably say yeah, would be. It would make
So
sense.
Papache is an actual from the Caribbean, essentially, yet another place that the British Empire has conquered, and
Hey, it works.
Yeah,
Made my way back. Got to make my fortune here in good old London town.
Irie. All right, James. Who is Hazel Downs? Where is she from? What did she do?
Hazel Downs is a boy rabbit, and he was originally the magic prop for a street magician who had a hat that he didn't realize was actually magic. And one day he pulled Hazel out of the hat, and Hazel grabbed the hat and his pouch of gold and ran off with it. And he ended up in the South Ward as the only place where he could blend in and basically not stand out immediately as someone who didn't belong. So now he has a magical hat that doesn't actually do anything, a pouch of 200 gold, and a dream to find his way in these new dark streets of London.
All right, great. And then Avani, what is your background?
So she is a noble from the darker land of this world because she is a vampire and they live where the sun barely shines. But one day her parents finally let her have, even though she was technically an adult for her species, her parents did not let her out of the house. And the moment they finally let her have some leash, she took all of it and left home because she was curious about the outside world. And then she eventually fell into the war zone and became a medic, and that's where she met Mac, our werewolf, and came here with him because she was curious about London.
Okay, great. So we're gonna say Tirnanog is just some undisclosed place in Europe that it was in an extra-dimensional space that has now collapsed at this point. You can no longer get to Tirnanog because it just doesn't actually exist anymore. Too much iron and gunpowder was used there, basically, and the fairylands just are decimated. Let's see here, and we'll say you come from like the fantasy version of Transylvania or like Eastern Ukraine, effectively. Yeah. So you come from the Balkans. All right.
Transylvania.
All right. So given various people have contacts within sounds good to me. So you've come given various people have contacts within the South Ward, you live here, you can basically pull upon those contacts in order to reach out and find out more information. Does anyone want to do that? or shall we progress to the Romani camp?
I would like to ask the nice lady if I may smell the photo she has of her son, or if like there's enough like scent
You just
around
ask
her.
to handle the object because you already know basically asking to sniff something is going to be way weird.
Yeah. May I see this for a moment?
All right, you sort of like you take the locket. She hands you the locket suspiciously. It's like, I need that back. Don't go run off with it.
And I just, I like just
You
leave it in my
carefully
hand.
like press it to your forehead and take a sniff, essentially, not too obviously.
Mhm.
And okay, so
Just so I could pick up the
all
scent.
right, you've got basically his scent. It's very faint. It's definitely not an object he wore, but he has handled like infrequently. So you can definitely tell it's different than the woman's, like
Yes.
old Maddie's here. It smells like a more of like cologne and sweat, as if he does a manual job.
Yeah.
He never did ask what the son does, but it's just like he definitely does a manual. He does manual labor because it's basically no one would be this sort of smelly otherwise. Okay, so you know he's a manual laborer at this point. You could also ask his mother whether or not what he did for a living would be another good follow-up question.
You could ask to inspect his room for something that might have a much better scent on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she looks dubiously at a lot of you. I don't know about you. You're too many of you are fey folk. It's like it's bad luck to have you in the house.
If I may
It's
ask,
okay. I'll vouch for him.
if I may ask, madam, what did your son do for a living?
He's a porter over. Basically unloads sledges over by the docks or by the Thames.
Thank you. Well,
Good
seems
work.
like
Essentially, the bossman definitely looks out for his men.
as we have to.
Well, we have another place to search if the gypsy camp does not.
So she goes, Boss Boggs is a good guy. It's like it looks after all the fellas. Basically, takes them out for beers after work. So if he know Boss Boggs, now that I think about it, Boss Boggs might know a thing or two, basically, of my dear son.
That would be useful. You said, where can we find this person?
He works right next to the sledges. So all of you from South Ward are familiar with what the sledges are. It's where they unload coal off the Thames, essentially. That's been sort of run down the river from upstream. It's like the water is like dirty black there from like leftover coal dust and oil that has seeped out of these large sledges out into the water. And it makes the people that work there black and everything in the surrounding area black.
Does anyone want to go with me to check the meat pie place?
I just
Not
pick you
just
up
because
and
I'm
I put
hungry.
you on my shoulders and I just like, let's go.
Oh,
All right, you head over to Sweeney's Sweet Meat Pies. As you there's a sort of like very cartoony, cheerful sign with what appears to be a chef chasing like 20 blackbirds, like escaping from a pie. A cheerful man with basically wild-looking eyes and crazy-looking eyebrows greets you. Why, hello. Have you come to taste my sweet pies today?
yes.
Fresh batch right out of the oven. Here's one for you to try. As he cuts you off a slice.
She immediately
Can I
eats.
try one too?
All right. They are sweet and they are savory and they are tasty. So it's like it's definitely there's definitely some organ meat in here, probably kidney or liver, but otherwise the rest of it tastes great.
As someone who consumes human blood, tasting, does
Roll
it
a perception
taste
check.
different?
Well, this is the other thing. Essentially, you only ever drink the blood. You don't ever eat the flesh, essentially, of your victims, quote unquote, or your prey. So it's
That's
hard to tell.
true.
Can I look at the
that-
meat and see if it's humanish or what type of animal is in here?
Let's put it this way: it is very, very hard to tell from mincemeat whether what
Yep.
type of animal it originally came from. But
It's
yes, you
rat.
can roll a nature check at disadvantage.
It's rat. Fine.
All right, how do I do a nature check?
So it's just add your nature check bonus essentially to a d20 roll. It's a skill. Avani is of the opinion essentially. It's like she's not entirely sure. It definitely came from a mammal.
Okay.
So you're definitely looking at cow, beef, or it definitely isn't chicken. It definitely isn't chicken.
Interesting.
Probably
She
not.
enjoys it.
Yeah.
Nonetheless.
So it came from a red-blooded animal, so it's probably not white meat like lamb or pork or chicken. So it's definitely probably beef. But you'd expect it to be much more expensive if it was beef. Beef is like really expensive these days, so it's like you're wondering how he can afford basically to serve his pies at such a reasonable price.
These are a little cheap because they taste good, but you should get them a high price.
Right. So, all right. Nature check isn't revealing a whole lot at this point because you had to roll at a disadvantage. So you're not quite sure at this point. Again, you're sort of pretty sure it's beef because it's too red to be any other sort of animal. But it also has a thick brown gravy in there, so it could be something else that you just can't identify at the moment. Okay, so Avani got the information she has. Krishna Krishana got the information she has. So you're of the opinion essentially it's definitely red meat.
I bet you could get a higher price for this. Tastes good.
I serve the people around here of Southward. It's like if I charge any more, essentially no one can afford this stuff as a treat. And it is a treat, isn't it?
Yes.
I don't say anything. I just give him a thumbs
will
up.
we be buying some pies today? Essentially, like
I'll buy you one.
20 pence. 20 pence per pie. So fifth
Matt,
of a pound.
So 1 gold is 5 pies, right? If I math that correctly.
Yes.
All
Yeah.
right.
So 1 pound will get you 5 pies. Even at that, you're going just like that's like pricey for Southside, but not like undoable.
20 pence would be 20 copper pieces, right?
No.
Yes, that's right.
Well, yes, I think.
I could take care of 5 of you.
Think.
Because there's 100 copper pieces and for 1 gold.
That's right. So it's 100 pence per pound.
Avani will purchase 5 of them.
All right.
Whoever wants one can take
Thank
one.
you much. As Sweeney sort of rubs the pound note on his pretty pristine vest. Essentially, you're surprised that he has no flour or anything. His vest, his sort of red and white vest, is like completely pristinely clean, as if he basically is a very fastidious person. As he sort of rubs the note on his apron, basically to make sure the ink doesn't rub off, and slots it into a cash drawer.
Thank you very much, sir. Have you heard any of the missing people?
Yes, awful thing that, essentially. Less customers for me.
Have you heard any weird things going on?
Well, I hear Geraldo basically deals in street meat, but which is essentially what is it? Poached game, and pigeons and rats, essentially. But just like, but he only sells that on the side, as far as I know. If you're a good customer, he won't vend you any of that stuff. But if you're new, I'd watch out.
I don't mind it. Meat is
Well,
meat.
you got to get your protein in somewhere, don't you?
Yeah, somewhere.
Strangely enough, Avani being like super pale is like does not phase any of the locals or anybody else around here because everybody is super pale in London.
And she just looks like, what, 16?
Yeah, but I'm
Tiny.
saying you're like white makeup pale essentially. But
Oh,
it's
yeah,
so
yeah.
like. But I'm saying most of the Londonites are also pasty white because it is permanently like gray around here because this is the time of. At this time, essentially, there's like continuous like the fog or the smoke, essentially so you
Very
have
good for me.
continual smog in London at this point that basically chokes out the sun almost continuously.
That's easier on my eyes. I like it here.
Yes.
Much easier to see.
Well,
So,
now that
Maddie,
we
were
got
you
pies,
wanting to join this evening, or what's going on? Oh, I see what's going on.
the room isn't big enough.
Can't get into the channel because the channel settings are too low.
Okay, 1 second. Let me fix that. I don't know why we have so many people. Okay, let's see here. All right, there we go. So try this. Okay, so Sweeney seems to be a merchant of meat pies. He has somewhat of a rivalry with Gerardo the Butcher, and that's about what you got out of that.
Well, have a good day, sir.
Good day to you. It's like, come on back if you want any more pies.
Oh, if we have any extras, we could hand them out the Romani camp.
Well, that's for you to decide. Essentially, I will not be doing it. Essentially, drive away too many regular customers if I start dealing with the Romanis.
You can just sell them to us. Give them out.
I don't have anything against the Romanis, but I don't have anything for them either. So, as he basically sort of does the sort of like half nod, half dismissal of someone that doesn't want to basically be involved.
Well, I suppose I understand.
Good day to you then. All right. Any other wandering around South Ward that you want to talk to at this point, using your own contacts?
Out of this entire time, I've been like sniffing out the scent of the the man that I'd picked up.
Okay, so just wandering the streets, you're not going to find anything. You're going to have to go to places where where this guy worked. Essentially, his name is Matt.
Too many scents muddle it out in the open. I gotta.
You're talking about London. It's like it's filled with smog to begin with.
Yeah.
So it's just like it's smelly. It's overpoweringly smelly in most cases. You'd have to be like right on top of your target in most cases to even start cracking using scent.
Yeah.
Mark, you seem like you're struggling. Not how it used to smell. It different from before. Is it different from before?
Mm-hmm.
Too strong.
Let's go.
We'll fix
All
you.
right, so options. If you want to check out Boss Boggs and the Sledges, that's where Matt, your target, used to work. Or alternately, you can head to the Ramona camp. So, or use some of your internal contacts. So, what do you want to do?
I mean, if we head to the Romani camp, we can rule out like his mother thinks that he ran off
Yeah.
with the Romani girl. Like, why don't we rule that out? It should be
Rule
real
off.
quick.
Go to the lease.
All right, so you head to the Romani camp. Everybody basically peel off like 50 pence for getting a black coach over there, because walking over there is just like is going to be an awkward process. Essentially, you're looking like an hour worth of walking to get out of town. So,
A pence is what, a copper piece?
Yes.
yes, it's effectively a copper piece. Yes,
Got it. Just trying to figure out the conversion here.
yes. You have pounds and pence, so just think of it as dollars and cents.
Well, that makes me think silver pieces because that's the direct conversion. But all right.
Well, I'm saying you have 10 silver to the gold, so that
Yeah.
would be like a dime.
Yeah.
Okay, but they don't. So, all right. So you all pile into black coaches. The coachmen who are all swaddled up basically to where you can only see their eyes, like, and their grayish skin basically peering through. So it's like, where can I take you?
You take us to the Romani camp, please.
Right. You initially think it's gonna be like 20 pence, which is a normal fare ride, and he says no. The Romani camp is 50. 50 from each of you. And that's
Seems
where
fair.
you get with the 50 pence. So he's charging you double to take you to the Romani camp. It's like, well, it is out of town and it is a little out of the way, so I guess it makes sense. Yeah, as you all pile into the coach and pay your fares, he carefully counts your coins and drops them into a lockbox next to his foot. It's like his drover's whip basically cranks back and lets loose with a loud crack over the set of 4 horses before the carriage. Some of you, because you are a large party, some of you are riding in the coachman seat in the back, and some of you are riding on the footman's pegs at this point. It's going to be an uncomfortable ride to be standing there for an hour, but it's like
It's okay. I don't take much space.
as the rest of you crowd into the cab, the cab sort of groans under the weight of all of you as you sort of careen through the streets at a high speed. You think that perhaps you should ask the coachman to slow down, but then again, the coachmen are famous basically for getting you where you want to go fast. And in a mere maybe about 15, 16 minutes, you are at the southern gate of London. The Black Watch is in force here. It's like as the coach draws to a halt next to the gate, black and gold guardsmen with bobbies, helms, and gold-hilted swords greet you. It's like, all you non-human types, what's your business heading out of town?
You should be glad that we're leaving town.
The Queen's rules are essentially you're to remain in your district unless otherwise told to leave.
I'll really go everywhere I want.
Can't have you running all over the great kingdom of Britain now, can we?
Can I vouch for him?
And who are you?
My name's Ivani.
Look, you don't have the trappings of a
Investigating
noble from
things.
around here, though you are dressed as a noble, essentially. It's like, what about the rest of you, essentially? And if you human types want to vouch for your non-human companions?
I
can
think
at least
we'd be
vouch
okay
for
to
the mask
vouch
and the
for them.
owl.
It will be okay.
Look, Southie, essentially, I need somebody from at least Westminster or above, essentially, on the Thames to speak for your group at this point. If none of you basically fit that description, essentially, you're going to have to turn around.
I don't think any of us are.
Well,
I think Just out of character, I think Ricky's character technically does. But I don't know if Ricky is present at the moment.
Who was the dude that hired us? Because did he give us something like?
He was like a gangster.
Johnny Lord is a gangster. If you mention his name, you will probably immediately get arrested.
Sorry, I was on mute. Krishana is going to cast Friends and hold up her papers, showing her house. These
Okay,
guys
roll
are
an advantage persuasion check on the blackguard.
Just like Doctor Who's psychic paper.
Right.
Uh, 14 for persuasion.
All right, your papers seem in order, Miss Krishana, essentially. Will I need you to name each of your associates here. All right, does everybody give their real name, or do they basically fake something?
I will fake it.
Okay.
Mac will give his real name because he doesn't really have anything to hide at this point.
All right.
I'll
Yes,
give my
ma'am, as
real
well.
name. And
Ivani will give her real name. Why does she? She doesn't lie.
I suppose Charlie just
So
gives
some
out
of
real names.
you, the majority of you give their real name, and just like some of you just sort of like raise eyebrows as Hazel basically writes. Hazel writes down something oddball like Peter Cottontail or something to be smart.
Big wig watership.
Big wig watership. I am watership down.
Yep.
Okay. Right. So Krishana's looking at the list that everybody has signed and just like gives Hazel a dirty look and then hands the paper over. Thinks better of basically saying something of it and hands the paper over to the blackguard. It's like, will that be suitable? Here's my signature, and I'll vouch for these individuals in and out of the gate. So like the blackguard, that'll be just fine, ma'am. Make sure they're your responsibility. If anything bad or untoward happens, essentially, with these demi-humans in your presence, essentially, it's your responsibility.
Thank
Now,
you,
good day to
madam. Good day
As
to you.
the blackguard whistles and motions for the coachman to take off. As he takes off at a like fast pace again, and everybody gets sort of rocked back into their seat. The Romani camp is another maybe 10 minutes out of town in this. As soon as you exit town, essentially the nature and the quality of the air gets better. You can actually see the sun. It's just like, oh, this is why people come to the country. I need to go visit here more often.
It's been a while since I've been out here.
It's like Ivani, you notice, is like slinking down into the coach and like has pulled her basically veil over her face at this point.
Bit bright out here.
It's the sun. Ah! It's like it's bright, it's sunny. The sky is blue with a couple like cotton candy clouds floating across the horizon. The Romani camp is this riotous affair of like bright red, greens, blues, oranges, yellows. Every color of the rainbow. Their wagons are painted those colors in spades. And their clothing sort of matches as they have sort of beautiful ruffled dresses for the women and vests with beautiful embroidery for the men. As you ride up into their camp, there's maybe only about 40 of them in this camp. They sort of the women's wave seductively, and the men basically glare at you. You all pull up and pile out of the coach.
Yeah, I jump off the roof and immediately start sniffing for the scent that I picked up.
Okay. You have a much easier time basically figuring out, like, no rolls necessary. Mattie's son basically has definitely been here before. You can smell it in the general air. He's probably spent some reasonable period of time here. That coach over there, essentially, that Romani wagon over there seems to have his scent emanating strongest from it. Sort of third one from the right. A set of basically healthy-looking men, i.e., all the basically people that can fight in that that camp, all come up to greet you at this point. And the sort of fiery red-headed woman, essentially with her hair back in a sort of loose pony, tied back to her, tied to her scalp by a colorful yellow kerchief. One of the younger mustachioed men greets you. It looks like he's just grown in his first like beard or mustache, essentially, because he's still scraggly looking still. Like, what brings you to the Romani camp?
We're looking for Matt. You seen him? Son of Maddie.
Maddie's son, yes. Yes, he spent some time here.
Is he here
And
now?
the red-headed woman goes, "What do you want with Matt?" Essentially,
He's gone missing.
As far as we know.
I don't know. Matt was here just less than 3 days ago. What do you mean he's missing?
Is
Never
the
came
girl?
home.
Is the girl he was here with still here? Is she me?
I'm a Simi.
You're a sim. That complicates things.
I'll be
What do you
straight to
mean
the point
complicates
with
things?
it.
Have you found his body? Is he dead?
We don't know.
No.
That's why we're looking for him.
How do you know he's missing?
Because he never came home to his mother.
All right, I might
What?
agree that means he's missing.
Why doesn't it seem to be bothering you as much as it should be?
Oh, he only came to the camp maybe once a week, essentially. Pleasant fella, essentially wanted trying to court me, and it's like I enjoyed his company. We hadn't
That
gotten
doesn't-
to anything particularly serious yet. Essentially, we're still in the courting phase. We
it's
met at a bar over in Southward. I was
Mightily
performing
idea.
with some of the fellows here, and I caught his fancy, and he came up to me and chatted, and we had a good time.
Might any idea where he was headed after he left here?
I assume he goes back to his work. He only comes during the weekends, basically just before the God's Day. So Sunday, effectively. That's his day off, essentially, from the sledges.
Is this
Perfumes
carton
himself
thing a
up,
law thing?
cleans up shining like a penny. Basically, puts on some cologne and comes and visits me.
Is this carton thing a law thing?
No, I can't say. Basically, it's anything religious or like that. Essentially, we have our
What's
own holy
Courtney?
days. Essentially, we don't worship on God's day, if that's what you mean.
What's carton mean then?
Horton means when a man likes a woman and a woman likes a man. You may
She's
be too young for
a bit
that. You may be too young for that, miss.
She's a bit sheltered. Forgive her. Very curious nature.
Well, I suggest we go down to the sledges. Maybe see if the boy's there.
A
Well,
valid
he left
idea,
some of his
Zolly.
stuff in my wagon over here, and I'll go fetch it for you. It's like
Appreciate
if it
it,
helps.
man.
If it helps you find, and basically Matt's a sweet sort. I would hate to have something bad happen to him. We had barely gotten to know each other. So she sort of tromps back over to her wagon. These sort of like younger Romani men basically sort of stand in a cordon, keeping you from walking into the camp. And she eventually returns with this sort of like beat up satchel that like has definitely seen better days. He just had some spare toiletries and some underclothing in here, as far as I can tell. But maybe it'll help you out.
Better scent than was on the locket?
Well, yeah, it has his scent on it very strongly.
Absolutely, yeah. Definitely
So,
useful, at least.
Okay, so as you're sort of peering through the stuff, so it's just like it's some underclothing, it's like long johns and some underwear and a t-shirt, and an undershirt and a toiletry kit, like effectively some soap and
Razor, I
and
assume.
it's sort of like a sort of rusty looking razor. Is like I wouldn't shave with that, but it's like I guess you shave with what you got, and a bit of twig that has obviously been used as a toothbrush.
Do you know where he used to hang out? Besides you?
Oh, Well, we met at the Rusty Nail. I'm guessing he goes there often. We went back for a date there once. But there's unfortunately not much to do on God's Day in London. Most people
Right.
are are heading to the church. Essentially, Matt wasn't a particularly religious type, so he and I basically took that day as an opportunity to explore the city. So he's only taken me on one date in the city, and that we stopped at the Rusty Nail. So maybe there.
Worth a look.
Suppose we can check it out.
So let's see. Someone roll insight for me to just get a general read on Isami.
Got it.
I'll do it.
Okay.
I got terrible. 7.
All right. She seems earnest. That's about what you get out of her.
17.
Avani is of the opinion she generally likes Matt. And that she's not dissembling or holding anything back.
I think she's being honest, Matt.
Seems like it.
All right, so you okay, Maddie, if you want to just jump in, you're here at the moment. So what is your character?
I am Smokey Hooper. My first name is actually not Smokey. It's,
Never would have guessed.
It's Teddy.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, I'm Teddy Hooper. Way I decided to go with this character was I thought about what was going on in the United States during Victorian London, and it was the Wild West.
Okay.
So my character is a gunslinger fighter.
Okay, great.
And
all right. And are you human or are you some other race?
I am half elf.
Okay, so you can fit into either side at this point, the human half or the Southies, essentially. So if you're a Southie, basically you're sort of considered a refugee slash undesirable. If you're from upper London, essentially you are considered part of the basically like upper ruling class of London. So which one do you want to be?
Let's do the upper class just because my hair.
Yeah.
My
We'll assume that's the
hair
case
is
because like guns are probably expensive, right? So you have to be probably noble to. You probably have to have some money to afford guns. So
yeah.
And upkeep them and fire them effectively.
Yeah. All right. And other than being a gunslinger, what is your background? Are you originally some law enforcement or military, or are you an enforcer? Basically, what are you? A bounty hunter?
Sorry, let me just get my thing. So my background is actually a criminal.
Okay, so you're part of organized crime. You are part of the. Let's see here. So you can either belong to the gangs, essentially like Johnny Lords, like gangs of London type gangs, or alternately you can be part of or otherwise you can be part of the Irish Mafia, or you can be part of the Snooker Club, which is like in a sort of like bored nobles doing criminal activities.
Because they have nothing better to do.
Well, I actually have that background. I wanted to get in touch with you to kind of talk about my background a little bit, but he isn't in that scene anymore.
Okay.
So like,
all right. So you're leaving criminality behind at this point. Let's say you're making the transition at this point.
Okay.
But you still have contacts there. So what you want it to be, basically, gangs of London, basically the Snooker Club, which is like high end, sort of like bored nobles, or Irish Mafia.
Let's do bored nobles.
Bored nobles. You're part of the Snooker Club. We tried to leave that behind because, man, they've gotten way too extreme lately, making people disappear, basically.
Yeah.
Making people disappear, basically, that don't deserve it makes you ill. Makes you ill. And the snooker club does that on the regular as they go on quote unquote hunts.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So okay. So you have let's see. I need a perception roll for Sniffler as you're peering through Matt's satchel.
16.
16. All right, sewn in a sort of like, it's not a very well hidden pocket, but there is a hidden pocket in here is a sort of an interesting looking shiny blue and white stone with sort of an older Celtic rune on it. Someone who worships the old gods might know what this rune means, but you definitely don't because you're basically born and bred British soldier, essentially, and you have no idea what this thing's like.
I'm new to the lifestyle.
Would I know anything about it?
I'll show it to just like, I'll sniff it out and then I'll show it to Avina on top of my shoulders like, what this?
So Aviana is
Wrong
Aviani
campaign.
is takes one look at it and goes, I don't know. This is something directly. There's something has to do. I recognize the symbol as one of the sigils of the old gods. Maybe either Papache or
Zumlar. Zumlar's
or
priest of the old
Tarned would
gods.
know offhand.
Tarned.
Basically, I just hand it to her and then it's like, not my problem anymore.
I don't know what it means.
Oh, whoops! I didn't change my name.
What do you think it is?
Hey Lawrence, I'm gonna have to step out. I had something come up real quick. Gotta go
Okay,
check
no
it out.
problem.
I'll try to join you guys next time.
Come
Okay,
back
no problem.
soon.
Yep.
Mm.
Good night.
Yeah, remember, Zumlar is a paladin priest of the old gods.
Yeah.
What do you
so
know what
you
this
wanna-
is? I don't know y'all very well. I did a lot of reading, but it was mostly fiction.
Okay, well, let's see here. Okay, Zumlar takes one look at it and is like, that is the sigil of the goddess Danikt, the god of healing and medicine. I don't know why he would need that offhand unless he was ill, but that's her sigil.
Oh, sounds like a good lady.
Does it have any different scent than his other belongings?
It basically is like a semi-precious stone, so you're sort of surprised that he has such a valuable item.
Oh, absolutely. That
Does.
as
But
well, but just like,
other than that, you're not quite sure why he has it or why it's in his pack at all. So,
mhm.
it doesn't particularly have a different scent than him. No, he's definitely handled this for a long time. So,
Mind if I keep it? For now, at least.
I just shrug.
She just
all
puts it
right.
in her bag.
I can't remember. Do Dampiers have any aversion to holy symbols or no?
Well, she is a cleric, so she has some divine blood in her. That's why she's only part vampire. Part of it, she part of her was transformed into a human to handle her divine blood.
Okay.
But
I don't know. It's your call
Yeah.
whether or not you have an aversion to holy symbols or not. So,
no, not holy symbols. Definitely like sunlight and radiant stuff.
okay, fair enough. All right. All
But
right.
not the concept of, yeah.
You take the stone and basically put it into a pouch at your waist. You sort of worry it over basically on the outside of the pouch unconsciously as it sort of gives you this sort of warm, comfortable feeling just handling it. Okay, so that is what you find out at the Romani camp, unless you want to skirt around the camp some more and see if there's other things to be found around the Romani camp, but the Romani themselves don't seem to be all that welcoming on letting you into the camp. Let's put it that way, or searching the wagons, or questioning anybody else that doesn't want to directly talk to you. Let's put it that way.
Is Matt sent anywhere else in the camp other than Isimi's wagon cabin?
Yes. So there's a nearby sort of stream where you can sort of smell his scent, where he sort of leaned up on side of trees, probably, and he stayed there for a long time. So you're guessing he and Isami had sort of long conversations next to this creek.
Mm-hmm. But other than that, nowhere else like suspicious at all. Just up against a tree. That's it.
Yeah, that's what you get. So everybody give me a
Alright.
perception check before you leave this area.
Scent perception or sight perception?
Either one is fine.
Bang.
23. That's a natural 20
Okay.
for sniffing. If that's an important distinction.
Okay.
Nat 20.
Charlie is looking off in the distance, and he sees red cloth like tied to a tree across the stream. It'd be super easy to miss, but it's very distinctive. Essentially, maybe it's the fact that his predator eyes as the Tabaxi basically make out the difference like immediately.
There's something across the stream.
How far is it
Points
across
it
the
out to
stream?
everybody else. Everybody else can spot it as well, but it's clearly a marker that's been tied to a tree across the way on the stream. Yeah. So Charlie's pretty much the only one that spots it, but he points it out to the rest of you.
Can I how wide across the stream? Can I just bound across
So
it?
it's maybe the stream is only about 10 feet across. It'll make your boots wet. It'll make your shoes or boots wet, but you can easily walk across it.
I'm not going across that.
Hazel's going to ask the gypsies if the red cloth has any meaning.
The sort of angry-looking young men, essentially, that are hedging you out of the camp is like, no, I've never seen it before.
Insight.
Yeah, you can roll an insight. You need 11 or better.
Well, I got a 9.
Okay. You have no idea whether or not they're telling the truth, but they definitely don't seem to be. The direct thing you get, obviously, is they're not friendly to you. Let's put it that way. There's
yeah, I get
we
that.
don't like outsiders. We would rather you leave.
All right. We are so hostile today. I'd rather go back to Sweeney. He was nice.
Goodbye.
But most of you know why the Romani are hostile. It's the same reason most people in Southward are hostile. It's like you get treated like shit everywhere you go.
Well, I hope you have a good day, sirs.
They sort of glare at you. It's like, good day to you, too.
She just smiled.
All right, so there's a bit of cloth across the stream, essentially where they've been drawing water from, and Isami and Matt have been having conversations. So you want to track that down and see what's on where this path might lead you, or do you leave it be?
I will walk across the stream. I'm not wearing boots because I got big ass claws for feet. They're just.
Okay.
I'm on his shoulder still.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, you arrive at the other side. It's like, now that you know what you're looking for, you can see another piece of red cloth tied on a tree maybe about 40 feet away, and then another after that, another after that. It's obviously some sort of marked trail through the woods here.
Do we all want to go there?
I think we should follow this. Charlie's gonna.
Suspicious. Does it smell like?
awkwardly
Does it smell like Matt?
across the stream.
It has a really faint smell of Matt, as if he's gone down this path before, but it was weeks ago.
Smells like Matt.
Maybe the first or second time he was here, because he's supposed to, at least according to Izumi, they've been having this on again, off again, basically meeting each other on the weekends thing going for about 2 months.
Faint scent. Smells like Matt.
Are there any fresh footprints following these
Look, so I need a survival check if people are going to check for actual footprints, I guess. Because the ground around here is sort of rocky, and so it's not definitely not one of those places that's really conducive to seeing footprints. Yeah, Smokey is definitely not seeing it at the moment. But it's a trail, and you eventually find some softer ground, and there's like some footprints, but it just like it's hard to make out who exactly they're from. They're definitely boots, but they're all muddled together as if they're really old. And different people have passed here over time, essentially. So you don't you see a sort of one clear set of male boot prints. Whether or not it belongs to Matt or not, it's like no idea. And as Sniffler basically like puts a snout to the ground to take a sniff of it, it's like it's someone different basically. So different people have passed through here over time, essentially. Sniffler can't actually make out a whole bunch of distinct sets. They're all sort of muddled together, but he's guessing like at least 20 or 30 people have passed through here over time. He senses lots of distinct different smells that are all sort of like muddled together and aged into some like a melange of like undistinguishable scents at this point. It is definitely an old deer track, however, because he also smells deer.
He gets distracted for a minute and then right.
It's like he senses it, it's like, and then points off into the distance and says squirrel.
Squirrel?
Well, shoot, are we gonna follow this path or what?
Okay. All right. So I need a perception checks, DC 14, and everybody can roll. I need at least 2 people to be successful to follow the trail nicely. Otherwise, you're gonna wander around in the woods a bit.
Fuck! I got an 11.
What you need me to?
23.
Got an 8.
Okay, so we got 2 successes. That's good enough. All right. So as a group, you eventually figure it out. The trail becomes a very, very sparse beyond the like first 3 or 4 markers, and then you're looking at like 60, 70, 80 feet to the point where it's like the next marker isn't even visible from the last marker, so you generally need to have a general idea where you're going. So you fan out and eventually find the next marker and the next marker. You can hear this sort of like whistling sound in the distance, like a low moaning. You all sort of stop for a second and then listen carefully. It sort of the wailing sound sort of intensifies and wanes and intensifies and wanes. It's like, and then you're sort of the opinion this is not coming from a living thing. Maybe it's like wind chimes or a whistle or something that's set in the woods, or maybe a cave. So what do you guys do next? It's just beyond that stand of woods over there. Is where the sound is coming from.
I'm gonna play and try and match the tune.
Okay. You make
go stealthy.
You basically pull out your mandolin and sort of make a off-tune jingling with your mandolin. It's like it's definitely not. It's not really quite music. It is some sort of natural sound. All right. Hazel sneaks up, takes a look out through the bushes. There is an old sort of like mining shack here with what you're guessing is a mine shaft with a sort of like mining elevator sort of leading down into the ground, and the whistling sound is coming from this sort of like hollow tube that has been hung up on the mining shack.
I'll go back and let the others know.
Okay. All right, so there's a mine shaft and a mine shack, essentially. So the mine shaft has a sort of one of those one-person elevators, bucket elevators that you sort of lower yourself up and down on. So it's just wide enough for a person to go up and down in it, essentially maybe barely like barely 4 feet across. So these sort of like peat or coal mines are really common in the countryside. If you're if you're not going to burn wood, essentially, or want coal, there's large coal deposits on the south end of town. So some people mine it themselves. So not particularly unusual.
Well, the mining shack seems less open-ended. So we want to check there first.
All right. Well, the mining shack, when you check it out, has a big fat iron padlock on it. Doesn't look particularly complex. Someone with some like breaking and entering skills could probably get in, open the lock up for you.
Does it
Okay,
smell like
so does
Matt at all?
anybody actually have thieves' tools?
Yes.
I have these tools.
Okay, so whoever wants to pick the lock can attempt to do so. Roll a thieves' tools check.
I think the rogue might have a better roll at that.
All right. Hazel takes the her thieves' tools out, inserts the lever bar, the tensioning bar, and basically starts working the latches, and eventually the lock falls open with a loud click. She takes the lock off, carefully levers open the door to make sure nothing bad is going to happen in case the door is open suddenly. Hazel's glad she does this as a sort of like pot of like black liquid like splashes to the ground as the door is fully opened, just in time as Hazel jumps back.
That would have been nasty.
She sort of tests it with the tip of one of her thieves' tools. It's ink or oil of some sort. Would have marked you up pretty badly, but it's like doesn't look dangerous per se.
Does it seem
inside the mining shack? You can see like 5 or 6 buckets full of coal. There's a mining pick and shovel in here. There's also a sledge and mining chisel, so i.e. one of those really long chisels that's maybe about 8-9 feet long, made of solid metal.
Yeah, slam bar.
It is a slam bar, except it has a chisel point on it, so
Yeah.
it's really intended for like hammering into the mine face to break loose rock, break loose ore. Inside, hanging on the top is some sort of like mining mask, some sort of filter mask. It sort of looks like a dive helmet with strange bellows coming out of it. That you would put this contraption over your head and basically work the bellows basically by walking. It's like looks like a strange contraption to have to go mining in. Maybe there's poisonous vapors in the mine. Okay, and that is what you see.
Does any of this smell like Matt at all?
None of it all.
Matt was not here.
Perhaps we check the shack.
Krishana will
then.
walk forward and yell into the tunnel, "Hello!"
Roll a d20.
No.
Well, no, I definitely want to go back to the
20.
shack.
All right. You hear a very, very faint hello come back.
I don't
Just
trust
a
that.
whisper of a hello coming back. It's definitely not an echo, however.
So this definitely does not sound like Krishana's voice.
Someone's in there.
No, it does
That
not.
came back.
No, I don't trust it. Nothing good
I-
comes from whispers and tunnels.
Would it make
And we
sense?
trust you.
Would it make sense to insight check an echo?
No, not at all. You're not going to have any chance of figuring out its intentions from an echo.
Yeah.
Let's put it that. That is an impossible roll. So,
If we have to go down the tunnel, we'll do it later.
Krishana's gonna yell, "Can we trust
It's
you?"
not like
It's not like the tunnel's going anywhere.
I think we should check out the shack first.
well, I'm saying you've checked out the shack. You've seen everything there is to see in the
Oh.
shack. Unless you're going to actually turn it upside down and start searching under floorboards.
Yeah, I definitely want to stay at the shack, then go down that tunnel.
The tunnel looks so nice. I mean, there's a mask right here welcoming us.
No.
We're waiting. Okay, so Krishana seems to be having like a silent conversation with somebody down the mine shaft. The rest of you aren't actually hearing the whispers at this point because you're too far away.
And this is just like a tunnel that like fades to black.
It's like a shaft into the ground, essentially like a like a well with a sort of like bucket lift.
Okay, I'm going to infuse one of the small rocks I carry in my pocket with a small light, and I'm gonna drop it down the hole.
Okay, so the light like bounces off the sides of the shaft. It's not particularly super straight, and eventually lands maybe about 40 feet below. You can see clearly see a sort of flattened out floor below, and which is the terminus of the elevator.
I mean, hold on. I guess I'll... Mark, can you put me down?
I just pick her up and place her gently down on the ground.
I can crawl down there, but as soon as something bad happens, I'm crawling back up.
I can come with you.
Well, there's only room for one on the bucket elevator, let's put it that way, unless you're
You
gonna
can't exactly stick to the wall, can you? I don't trust the elevator.
How heavy or how like wide is this this hole again?
It's only about 4 feet wide. It's just just barely wide enough for like single people to go down one at a time. So,
am I able to fly down there and like
not at all? Let's put it
No?
that way.
Excellent.
So, even as a small creature as an owling, essentially your wingspan is probably easily like 5 feet. So.
Yeah.
I'll crawl down there.
Be careful.
All right. So, right. Aviani, so assuming you're using your spider climb ability to climb down there.
Yeah, she's just going down.
Okay.
And
So you're sort of. It looks like Aviana is like the best climber ever, or she has really sticky feet and hands. she's basically scrambles down the side of like this sort of jagged tunnel as if it's nothing, and eventually arrives at the bottom. There's a strong smell of basically earth vapors, aka methane down here. You're pretty sure why that ventilation suit or weird bell helmet that the miner in the mining shack, why it's there. Essentially, the air down here is not breathable, at least for long periods of time.
It's a good thing I don't need to breathe.
I was about to say.
So you're basically not breathing at this point, but the smell is definitely there. There's like mineral vapors in the air. It's slightly sulfurous. So it's like the air down here is not good. Essentially, you would not want to stay down here more than about 10 minutes without some sort of apparatus to keep the air clean. All right. There's faint bluish foxfire. Okay, so you're in a sort of like belled out room out here at the bottom of the shaft where it's sort of been cleared out by hand tools at this point. You can see rich veins of coal sort of like running off in every which way. This place has been mined a lot, essentially, so you can see deep shafts sort of like just following the veins of coal, at least 8 of them like all radiating out like a spider's leg. From this central room, the sort of mineral vapors that you're getting are coming the strongest from this shaft. One of the shafts that sort of has the steepest angle down, and there's a sort of faint blue like fox light at the bottom of that tunnel. You can't tell where it's coming from, but there's definitely some sort of bluish light at the end of that tunnel. The rest of them appear to be, I assume, Dampiers have dark vision, right?
Yeah, dark vision 60 feet, and then there's the light that they
So you
drop
have normal
down.
dark vision. So the other tunnels don't seem to be lit in any way, but yes, the steepest tunnel heading straight down where the mineral vapors are escaping from, it has some sort of like blue fox light at the end of it. That sort of is not super steady as it sort of flickers in and out of existence. Down here, you can see some more sort of like stacked up mining equipment, except it's all. You notice all of it is swaddled in like burlap, as if to prevent sparks.
Krishana is trying to put on the gear.
Well, Avani will scramble back up.
All right, so you report what you've seen down there. Krishana's trying to put on the rebreather gear at this point. I need an intelligence check.
Well, I don't particularly need any of the equipment stuff, but you all might.
16.
16. All right, you think you've got it on right. Essentially, it's quite loud in here. Whenever you move your legs, there's this horrible accordion wheezing sound in the helmet. It's like, it's like.
I'm cast
All right, as
predestination.
Krishana essentially does her best impression of Darth Vader. So there's these heavy like canisters essentially filled with like black gravel like charcoal in it. It's like, and when the bellows like whoosh in and out through force air in and out through these filters, there's a sort of like poof of black dust as if they're actual charcoal, and you're guessing that's because that's what they're filled with. As you sort of reach under the helmet and get this sort of black soot off your face, you're going, well, I'm gonna have to wash that off later on.
That looks messy.
Okay, so Krishana, do you take the elevator down?
Yes.
I'll go down after you.
Slowly lower yourself down the elevator. It's a creaky sort of like it's a creaky ride, but it seems functional enough as everybody sees the pulleys at the top slowly winch Krishana down. There's a big bucket that's full of rocks at the bottom that acts as a counterweight as you sort of lower yourself all the way down to the bottom. You give everybody at the top a thumbs up as you. What are you using for a light source?
I got dark vision, but I can cast lights too.
Okay.
So I'm casting lights on my head, on the helmet.
Okay. Poof. All right. So do you take the steep passageway down?
Yeah, towards the blue light. Do I see the blue light?
Yes, you do see the blue light. It's like when you shield your light, your headlamp completely, you can see the blue light, but under the glare of your spell, it's like completely invisible. You head down that passageway. It winds. It sort of meanders through the rock a little bit as veins of coal often are wont to do, and eventually it's like 45 degrees. So it's a steep climb down as you're trying to avoid basically tumbling down the tunnel the hard way. You eventually pop out on the other side, and there's this sort of faint blue will-o'-the-wisp thing, essentially like floating in midair here, and then the tunnel sort of takes hooks directly to the right as the coal seam obviously basically sort of takes a sharp right. But there's this ethereal blue glowing thing sitting in the middle of the tunnel.
I don't think we should go any further without everyone else. Oh, you're yelling at it.
Come, as the sort of blue fox light bobbles in front of you and begins to dive down into the tunnel very slowly.
I'm gonna yell back, guys, there's this blue thing that wants me to follow it. I'll start following it.
I wouldn't recommend following it.
Kirshana, hold on. Avani's just like crawling along the ceiling after you, keeping watch.
Okay.
Wait for them, cause it could be dangerous down here.
All right. Does anybody else follow Krishana into the tunnels at this point, or is everybody waiting at the top?
I can't exactly breathe methane, so.
Well, I'm saying it's certainly not healthy for you in the long run, but you can always hold your breath. So.
The owl.
I'm gonna ask Avani, should I come back?
You should come back a little, till we figure out how we can get everyone down here.
I, for one, am not going down there.
Or everyone who wants to, I suppose.
I'm gonna say bye, blue
I'd rather
thing, and
not
I'm gonna
go down
wave and
there.
turn around.
Hey, Lawrence, what's the rule for holding your breath?
I think you can hold your breath equal number of minutes equal to your con bonus.
Which is, for me, is +3, so that's 30 turns down there?
Well, 3 minutes, yeah.
I
Yeah,
have a
30
negative
turns.
1 con.
I
So
could
I'll
just
start heading
go
back,
with
noticing no one else is coming.
Yeah, I guess I'll head
if
back
you
too.
if you all
Okay.
want to. I could go down there with Kishana since she has the little suit thing, and I could stay out of trouble and act as her healer. But I'm not sure it'd be safe enough for everyone else to go down.
I can't exactly breathe methane,
This
so
is my suggestion to the DM. If you want to go down there, essentially, you're going to need, effectively, we're going to say methane gas is poison. So you need either an antidote or protection from poison effectively available to you. That or something else that would otherwise protect you from poison.
I can get ready of being
I'm gonna head
poisoned, but
back.
that's after you've been
Father
poisoned.
doesn't want to waste people's times.
Oh no, I have detect poison and disease. I don't have protection. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, I think it's protection from poison that gives you poison resistance. So that,
I
or you
got
could drink
lesser
an antidote.
restoration.
If people have antidotes, essentially, you could drink them as protective at this point, and that would help you.
I don't exactly have any innate protection as a Worgen, do I?
No, you do not.
Yeah.
Bye, blue thing.
Okay. All right, so there's the mysterious mine shaft in the woods. So that's you mark it down, basically its location, and figure maybe you'll check this out later on. Whether or not it has meaning essentially to your current investigation or not, you're not quite sure.
It's interesting, but I don't think Mac said he didn't go down here. So
Matt was
I
not
suppose
here.
we should
Does
stop
not smell
fucking
like
around
Matt.
and start looking for him actually at his bar.
Okay. All
We
right.
should probably
You
head
do
back
the
down
quick
too.
sweep around the camp under the watchful eye of the Romani. You don't find any more traces of Matt other than probably where he came in from the road into the camp, and where he exited the camp to basically talk to Isami by the stream, and that's about it. You eventually head back. The coachman is like patiently waiting for you. He's like, that'll be another 50 pence.
Get gabbing or get going.
Oh, we could do it. It's fine. I can pay. Here you go.
All
No,
right, so
yeah,
you
I gave
pay the what is it? 1, 2, 3. Do you pay the £4 for the whole team?
No, I'll pay my own share.
Okay.
I'll pay mine too.
Okay, everybody pays their own share at this point. You pile into the coach. The gruff coachman cracks his drover's whip, and the horses take off like at a full sprint again. You haul up. No, you're down 1 gold effectively between the two
Okay.
trips. So £1. So you arrive back at the south gate again. Fortunately, it's the normal blue coats i.e., normal bobbies that are there. They're members of the Queen's Guard rather than the Westminster Watch, which is the Black Guard. They simply they sort of bored, seem to be bored. They basically take your attestation, essentially, of identity, check it off, essentially, check back that you have the same number of people, basically, that you said you left with, and basically pass you through the gate.
Have a good evening, sirs.
In the back of your minds, you're wondering, basically, if there's currently a crackdown going on, or if they're looking for somebody, because they aren't as strict about who goes in and out of the city. So you eventually arrive at Westward again. You check out the Rusty Nail. You've just arrived just in time, essentially, for the busy the tavern rush at the just as people get off of work. You can see various people, like there's coal dealers and flour peddlers and definitely men from the sledges, because there's all sorts of guys that deal with coal on the regular, because their faces are like ruddy black with soot. They're sort of leaving like black stains wherever whatever they touch and wherever they sit. A particularly well endowed individual, like he's sort of like corpulent and fat, is like wearing a bowler hat and an oiled mustachio, is like, you can see various people are surrounding him at this point. Well, boss, it's like another good day at the sledges. Essentially, nobody got their hands mangled basically in a sledge. It's like, was real good of you to pay for Murdy's expenses when that happened to him. It's like, no big deal. Essentially, it's my responsibility to look after you men. So I run a clean shop essentially, and that's the way I like it to be basically. Otherwise, I won't have good men like you working for me if everybody gets injured. Now, will I? Well, you're much kinder than the factories, so that's why we like working for you, boss. Dirty work, but honest and an honest living. So
Dirty work, clean business.
Yeah. So the boss is basically just sort of dressed in like a half a suit and like a vest. His pants and suit has definitely seen better days. They're a little worn, but otherwise well laundered and clean. There's a group of musicians essentially of you're guessing Fey heritage. So their singer is this smoking hot half elf woman with blonde hair and steel gray eyes, and there's a half orcish drummer and a dwarvish bassist, and it's like a gnomish guitarist. They seem to be playing the sort of local tavern favorites at the moment, and taking requests from the crowd. A matronly woman sort of stands behind the bar with a simple smock of a brown apron, sort of cleaning steins at this point. Welcome, good customers. What can I help you with?
Oh, Mac, can I get a pint?
Of
course.
What is that?
Old Dick or Speckled Cock. That's what we got. Which are brands of ale.
Sorry, say that again?
Old Dick or Speckled Cock. Old Dick is a like amber ale, and Speckled Cock is like a pale ale.
The second one? I suppose you don't got any wine.
Don't got any wine, essentially, unless you like barley wine, which is beer. As she pours you the light ale, essentially. You'll like it, essentially. Not exactly wine, but basically not bitter. Not the bitters, essentially, like the red is. So she pours you a stein and plops it on the bar. So, what'll be the rest of you having? It's either that or the water, and I don't suggest the water.
Oh, Dick. Just
this 4 foot tall vampire is
Well,
just trying to jump up to grab it.
Reach the counter, you're old enough to drink, basically, in old London. So that's it.
I can't. I am 4 feet tall.
Right. Well, you hop up on the counter. Basically, it's like, well, you're a wee one, aren't you? But you're dressed like an adult, and your money's good. So she basically peels off the 10 pence. You basically drop on the counter, and it's like, and then hands you back basically a 5 pence coin. So she dishes out ale to the lot of you. So what brings your eye to the Rusty Nail this evening? It's like, can't be the estimable company here because you don't look like working folk.
We're looking for working folk. You seen Matt around?
Matt? Yeah, he's usually here every evening, but he's gone missing for the past 3 days. could have gone down. He could have come down with the fever, but so did he check with his ma?
His ma says he's missing too.
Then that's bad. Essentially, people that don't show back up at their home basically don't often show back up.
Aye. That's why we're looking for him.
Well, I wish you good luck at that. Basically, he works for the boss over there, and so you might want to ask around. Some of his fellas from the sledges are over at the table in the back.
Oh,
Wish you luck.
the big guy.
Actually, I hate to see people go missing.
The big one?
Aye, the big one.
So the boss is the guy in the suit, and then his fellows are some other fellow sledge workers at a back table at the back. So she's pointed those out to you. So,
I guess I'll go talk to him. Anyone want to join?
I wouldn't.
Shauna's gonna go in front and
Grab your cup.
And I just pick her up and put her back on my shoulders and we walk over.
you all sort of meander over to that table. There's about 10 sledge workers here. They're covered head to toe in coal dust at this point. Sort of rivulets of like white sort of run from their chin down to their neck, where bits like streams of ale have basically washed away the soot. They're sort of giving them sort of this weird ghoulish appearance. Especially once they basically open their mouth and you can see white teeth out from like super black lips. like you're wondering if ingesting coal dust is good for you or not, but just like you hope it is, because everything in around here is like covered in coal dust. Well, Little Miss and Wolfman.
Hi.
You seem to be a motley crew of individuals. Are you an owl? As basically as one of the younger workers that points at Izumi is like, really? Are you some sort of sentient owl? Like talking owl?
They just kind of look at them curiously and just, yes?
It talks. It's like, well, blimey, I've never seen a talking owl before. Take a seat. Can I buy you a beer?
he's so cute, and she starts petting the owl's head.
There's not a strong reaction, but there is heavy confusion.
I'd ruffle your feathers as well, but I'd leave black streaks in it, so I would feel bad. So, what brings you fine folk over to our table?
We're looking for Matt.
Yeah, Matt said he was leaving on private business maybe about 3 days ago. Didn't show up for work after that.
So that he said he was leaving. Do you know where, or was that specifically kept private?
Oh, I don't know. He said he was feeling sick or something and was gonna check out the Temple of the Old Gods. So Zulmar knows where the Temple of the Old Gods is. He's in fact a priest at the Temple of the Old Gods. You have not seen anybody by the description of Matt come through the temple, because that's normally where you are. But you might have handed out. But one of the other priests or priestesses, or maybe one of the nuns might have seen him separately, basically at a side chapel, and maybe he didn't come to the main chapel. But yeah, said he was feeling really ill. Was going to go to Temple Old God, see if they can fix him right up. But yeah, we didn't see him after that.
More of a lead than we had before.
Yeah, so all of you are thinking back and say, okay, let's see here. Like 3 days ago would have been effectively like a Tuesday. So you're trying to think if anything special was happening on a Tuesday. You can't think of anything right at the moment. And Zomar is just thinking back, yeah, I wasn't in the temple that day, so I wouldn't have seen him per se.
It was Tuesday, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You're really big.
Well, you gotta be a big folk in order to, like, lift coal, essentially. Backbreaking work.
I don't think I could do that.
Well, I hope you don't have to, Missy. It's like, it's definitely not women's work. So what? Y'all seem, all of you seem unique sorts. Essentially, you freelancers. You do unique jobs for a living.
I
I like investigating things.
I
I'm a
fixed
curious
it.
sort, I suppose.
Does that pay well?
Sometimes.
don't know.
Well, not like I know. Essentially, I keep on thinking I can do better things with my life, but other than shoveling coal. But it's a living.
Got any hobbies?
Oh, I whittle. Essentially, pulls out a like this sort of like intricately carved whistle, bird whistle. It's like he pours some water into it and it makes this like tweetering noise. It's like it's a cool child's toy. It's like you've seen them before, but his carving skills are quite good. It's like I don't know. I try to sell some of my whittlings every so often, but there aren't many buyers here in Southward, and I don't have the time to basically to head across the Thames.
I'd buy
Especially
it.
since I'd
I
have
head
to
across there all the
basically go
time.
bathe, and that costs money too.
I could
It's
sell it
very
for you.
nice.
Well, tell you what. Here, he hands you these. He hands you like 5 carvings of. They're like squirrels and dogs and kids and birds. It's like, well, if you can sell these for me, bring me back whatever you can get. I'd appreciate it. So,
Well, here's a golden now, because I want one.
like, well, that's far too generous of you, ma'am. Essentially, but I'll take it.
Ah, it's good
As he
carving.
sweeps the pound note, basically sort of staining it with his black fingers and like sticks it into a pocket in his shirt.
I'll see what I can get for him. I head there all the time.
Right. So Jamie's the name, essentially. I know you can't tell my features under the soot, but just like ask me by my name, and any time here at the Rusty Nail, they'll know who I am.
Mac and I will come back with some good money for you.
Well, I hope so. But who knows? Noble's tastes are eclectic indeed.
Good craftsmanship.
Well, I seem to think so.
Well, I appreciate your confidence in my skill. So so they also tell you the tale that like Matt hasn't been in bad health for basically the past 3 months or so. He's every time we see him, it looks like he has bags under his eyes and seems a little bit more frail than the last time we met. So we have a feeling that he's gotten himself mixed up with the Fae, but like he always says no every time. He only goes to meet his his girl over at the Romani camp, and that's it. So, but I don't know. Given looking at him, it definitely didn't seem like it was well.
Well, I bet we can go look for those temples now. If we think that's where he is.
All right. Well, Zumar pretty much takes you from the Rusty Nail over to the Temple of the Old Gods. It's a hidden temple underground. It takes you a good 30-40 minutes to get there. So by the time you get there, it's like mid to late evenings, about 8 or 9 in the evening. The ways in here are a little Byzantine, but apparently all the worshippers know how to get here. On the some of you, this is the first time you've been here, and there's 8 statues to the gods of Tuatha Danann around the edge of the around the edge of this place. They're all sort of like crudely sculpted statues where you can still see the chisel marks, and so definitely not sculpted by magic or even by a master craftsman. They're just sort of like crude icons to each of the 8 primary gods of Tuatha Danann. The Zomar goes and pays his respects essentially to Dagda the Silver Hand, his favorite god, and then eventually goes to greet the other priests and priestesses. And then the other servants of this church, if you're not a priest or priestess, are nuns, essentially. So all the acolytes and basically lay people that actually serve the church are all women. He starts discussing with them in private. Essentially, have they seen a Matt by his description? Eventually, a young priestess, half-elven priestess, pops up, and her hair is sort of like severely shaved on one side, basically in this like very deep undercut, and the to the point where it's like she wouldn't be accepted in polite societies. And you can see that she has some sort of brand like on that side of her head. Mac knows what this brand means. It means that basically you're a you've been marked as a traitor by the crown for whatever reason, essentially. So you're an untouchable in town. Various people that basically did great deeds for the side of Tuatha Danann, essentially, and were captured, were branded in this way. So she must have some background that is somewhat interesting, but she just mentions to you, she comes up to a lot of you, boldly looks at each of you in the eye and says, "Yes, I saw this person called Matt. He was definitely cursed. Like powerful curse at that. So I gave him an icon maybe about 4 to 5 weeks ago to see if it would alleviate some of the symptoms. I told him to sew it into something he wore or carried with him on the regular.
You mean like a satchel?
Yeah, like a satchel or his clothing. So keep
Is
it
this
next
the
to
one
that.
you gave him?
Yeah, that's the one right there, essentially. Where did you find that?
In his satchel at the Romani camp. We didn't see him,
Well,
and they haven't seen him, and we're looking for
I don't
him.
know why
So,
he would have left it there. Gave him very specific instructions to keep it on his person to abate the curse on his person. So,
What were the symptoms of his curse?
sleeplessness, restlessness. Essentially, he couldn't catch a wink of sleep during the evening. He also mentioned basically not having much appetite. I couldn't detect any. I could detect a mild curse upon him, but I couldn't detect any other foul magics upon him, like poisoning or disease, or the misty vapors. So I have to assume basically it was a minor curse at best. Essentially, it's like of the type essentially you'd get for backing out of a deal with the Fae.
oh,
So
did he talk about the mine at all, or any nightmares?
he said he had nightmares about being trapped underground and never being able to escape. That this blue misty light haunted his dreams and would lead him into bad places.
Oh, that's not good.
Why does that sound familiar?
Deeper and deeper underground, essentially, until he could not find his way out.
A little foxfire in a mine, you like?
Yeah, but that sounds like a will-o'-the-wisp, doesn't it? Essentially, and most sane folk are smart enough to stay away from such sorts of fae.
Yeah, we
The
were
ghost
too,
light
but I
essentially
suppose
will
we have
lead
to
you
go there.
astray. The ghost light will lead you astray more often than not. Sometimes it'll lead you to treasure, but most of the times it'll lead you to your doom.
Well, I stopped Kirshana
But we're
here
not
from
supposed to
going down
follow the
there.
cute little blue one?
I suppose that would have been the most
Oh,
direct route,
so you
but I
saw
suppose
one.
we have to go down there now.
Essentially, where did the will-o'-the-wisp are relatively rare. It's like especially near London.
Down in the
It
mine.
said that it needed help.
Well, there's lots of mines all the way around London. Essentially, the whole coal field to the south of London basically might as well be one giant mine. What? You have to be more
Well,
specific than that.
there's one next to the Muramani.
That's interesting. And where did you say you found his satchel again?
At the Romani camp.
With his
That makes no sense. Why would he leave it at the Romani camp? Essentially,
I don't know. Perhaps he is sleepwalking.
he left it
Possessed
with the
a
woman
bit.
he was seeing.
oh, he has a bonny lass. I see. So he may
Still
have
in the
wanted to
courting
leave it with her
phase.
to basically protect her from whatever he was experiencing. But that would have been unwise. He the curse would have taken him at that point.
Maybe it did.
You got anything? You know where we can find some protection from poisonous stuff? I don't
We have
need it, but
antidotes
these lot
here.
need
We
to
have
read.
antidotes here at the temple. Essentially, I can sell them to you for. Well, let's see here. What is it? 22 pounds. Slightly on the expensive side, but essentially nothing else will do when you're in a pinch against poison.
Oh, aye. It's lots of noxious gas down there. I can't exactly breathe methane.
At least
then
some of it is saving a bit of money.
We have enough for the lot of you. At least one dose apiece. Is that something that interests you?
I will certainly take one.
I'll take one for Hazel.
Might as
Okay.
well.
I'll
All
take
right.
one as well.
All right, so everybody pays their 22 pounds and basically has an antidote in their inventory at this point. So my name's Silver. What are your lot's name?
Hi, I'm Krishana. Nice to meet you. And she curtsies to her, smiles.
My name's Mac, but everyone just calls me the Sniffer.
Most people call me Cheshire.
Interesting.
I'm a Vanny.
Yeah, you could just call
So
him Smoke.
many. You travel with so many Fae. I was like, what? Is there a particular reason for that? So,
Oh, we just got paired up a little bit ago.
Polite company.
well,
Usually I'm just here with Mac.
no accountant for some fates. So maybe your threads are intertwined.
You seem similar to mine. The mark.
So far, I like these people.
Well, it's good to like the people you travel with. So that's unfortunately the information I have for you. I was never able to find out exactly what caused this curse on Matt. And then the other thing that Max quickly realizes that is like any sort of traces of Matt may have been like completely overshadowed basically by the poisonous gas because it may have made you unable to smell.
Yeah, basically. Everything just smells like farts. And not the good kind.
Needing to breathe sounds like a damn shame.
Yeah, it's a bit of a pain.
Well, the living need to breathe, essentially, as she pointedly looks at Avani.
I
she
mean, I
has some
can
sort of
breathe.
sense that you're basically not entirely human as you appear.
I mean, you know, I'm not going to get into it.
Doesn't matter.
That would be wise. It's just like someone to Duata Donan basically do not basically believe in life after death.
Well, I never died, per se. I was born like this.
She smiles Silver smiles a sly smile and goes, well, we're not always born to our positions now, are we? All right, be on your way.
No, we're not.
So,
before we leave, is there any statue in here that is resembling to a wolf?
let's see here. So, what is it?
It's Blade, cough, cough.
Okay, so I do not think any of the Tuatha Dananas actually have animal features at all. They all look like humans.
Oh, okay.
So, but Aeneas Og is sort of always depicted with animals around him. So that would be the closest to. But that's the god of youth, beauty, and love.
Not exactly befitting of my description. All right, moving on.
Okay.
I think we should go back to the bar. I want to speak to the performers.
Okay. Well, you could have done that earlier, so let's just retrofit that in there. What did you want to ask the performers?
Rewind?
So
Yeah, I was just
the blonde-haired, silver-eyed lead singer is like, well, hello there, beautiful. I see that you're a fellow instrumentalist. What brings you to our humble performance? Our gig's over.
she's
I got some time at this point. Want to have a drink?
sure, and she'll buy her around, smile at her.
Great. It's like, so she slugs down half her beer in one go, and it's like plumps the tankard back on the bar tops. So beautiful.
Okay.
You definitely catch my eye. Obviously, what caught you? What do you find pretty about me?
Your performance is so beautiful. I'm not at
We're
this
just
role
saying in
playing.
body tavern tunes, basically. But I like the way you think. So
So she's trying to like have a casual conversation with her, A, flirt with her, pick up on her, and B, try and find out like gambling with the Fae, where you would track that down if I was wanting to get in with the game.
she's like, I wouldn't gamble with the Fae. There's like you're more often than not, basically 9 times out of 10 to lose your money. But they are a great bunch to party with. But she she whispers in your ear essentially both where she's gonna be basically like tomorrow night, and that there's a gambler's den known as the Fairies Fancy, uh, basically at the end of the Ironmonger Street, which you find weird because like the Fae normally like hate iron and ironsmithy work. Essentially, maybe it's to keep people on the up and up there. But she mentions that there's a sort of basement game of like poker and various card and games of chance going on at the end of the Ironmonger Street. More often than not, every evening. You'll just have to check it out and see if they're there.
Well, thank you, lovely lady, and she'll pay for another drink before leaving.
She tips her glass to you, and then downs the rest of her first beer. Okay, so let's see here. It's pretty late at night at this point, so you're probably heading back to wherever you live, and then we'll pick up tomorrow morning, essentially. So as let's see here. Does Aviana live in Westward, or does she live in the better part of town?
She's got like she rented out like a little place for an office, and she
Okay.
just kind of sleeps behind the desk
All right, fair enough.
because she wanted to start her own investigative company, but she's only ever gotten the rent part down.
Okay. All right, and okay, and then all right, so Smokey and okay, wait a minute. So Smokey is are you actually a Harengon, or are you a human?
Well, I'm a half elf, so I don't know how that falls under your thing.
Hazel is the only Heron gun in the party.
Okay, so all right, got it. All right, so Smokey and Krishana are like catch a coach to the other side of town. You pay 20 pence to the coachman, as everybody else retires to their basically locations here on South Ward. The coachman draws up short long before you reach like even the first destination. So Smokey's office is like slash apartment is way closer than Krishana's, who's like way up in uptown. But the coachman pulls the coach up to a certain halt as both of you basically bang your heads on the side of the coach as it basically screeches to a halt. You can hear the clattering of hooves and the coachman going, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" as the as you both poke your head out the window, and there's these black hooded figures like blocking the road up ahead of you, and you see another set of so there's two in front of you and two in the back, essentially, that seem to have blocked up the road before and after the coach. The coachman leans down to you. Sir and madam, should I run them down?
It's up to you.
So it's just Smokey and Avani in the carriage right now. Everyone else is
Yes,
at home.
that's right. It's Smokey and Krishana. So both of you are humans from the better part of town. Let's put it that way.
I live in the like lower end of the fancy part of town. Sorry.
Okay, so
So,
Aviana
yeah.
is there. So the three of you are there, essentially. So
Shauna's gonna poke her head out. Do you need help, sweetie?
you see, as quickly as you can blink your eye, you see two hand crossbows drawn out from beneath cloaks, and basically, as the coachman basically catches two crossbow bolts to the chest.
Oh,
As
that's
the
bad.
coachman goes he's not dead, which basically goes to show that he's made of stouter stuff than normal commoners, but he does not look good. He does not look...
Yes, run them down.
Oh dear.
And she's gonna try and fire at them with Eldritch Blast.
Okay.
How
The
rude!
driver good enough to drive?
Oh, well, the coachman doesn't look like he's in any condition to drive at this point, so if you want to scamper on up there and try to take the reins, that might not be a bad idea. Okay, so we're gonna do your actions next. Essentially, there's some more thunks in the back of the coach as crossbow bolts as they try to shoot through the back of the coach to basically catch somebody unawares that basically had their head too close to the back window, as two crossbow bolts go flying in through the back window. And then we're gonna start with your actions. Smokey, what are you doing?
I'm gonna try to get up into a position where I can drive this thing.
Okay. You kick out the door and basically scramble over there. So I need an athletics check to get up into the coachman's position.
Athletic. 12.
Okay. You are scrambling up there. You get up there. It's definitely not graceful, but you are roughly in the right coachman's position. So you don't have any action left over, essentially, to drive the coach at this point. You're just in position.
Okay.
Let's see here. Krishana.
I'm gonna fire my Eldritch Blast at it. How rude!
Okay.
7 to hit.
Okay, that is definitely a miss. As you lean out through the open coach door and take a pot shot at one of the people in the front of the coach, there you miss by a wide margin. Aviana. Aviana, there? Clancy?
I'm here. Sorry, I'm looking at spells.
Okay.
New character, who this?
I mean, you're not a fire druid anymore?
No. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to cast Bless on
Team Good Guy?
On Team Good Guy.
All right, so you're all blessed at this point.
Second level to catch the driver as well.
Okay, got it. All right, so Smokey, you scrambled up there, and the driver does not look in a good way. He's just slumped over in his seat. He's wheezing, but still alive.
Someone get him back here. I can't do it.
Mac isn't there because what do you call it? They don't let Fey folk into the uptown.
Yeah.
Yes, you're not. You would definitely not be welcome after dark. Basically, there is a curfew essentially for southward. So, i.e., you're not allowed to enter the rest of the town. You can wander wherever you want southward, but you're just uptown. Definitely, there's a curfew for people that are not human.
Yeah.
So,
where's V when you need him?
Okay, so there's so Smokey, what's your AC?
15.
13. All right, so you catch a crossbow bolt
5.
to the shoulder for 7 points of damage. You immediately start feeling woozy. Con save.
Sorry, I'm trying to do everything with D&D Beyond, and
That's no problem.
all right, con save. I got 13.
13. Okay, so you basically are seeing. You're basically it's like, oh, are there four assailants now? Because it's like you're seeing double at the moment. Okay, you're feeling very woozy at the moment, as if you're imminently gonna pass out.
Okay.
Okay, and let's see here. It's like, oh, poison. This is bad.
You should add a D4 to that saving throw.
Add a D4 to the oh, because of bless.
Bless, yeah. Just don't eat.
Roll a D4.
You need 15 or better, so try to roll a 2 or better.
Yeah, that was a 4, so it goes up to
Okay, so
17.
you're fine. Okay, so you do not feel woozy. You just take the 7 points of damage.
Cool.
Okay, so a crossbow bolt shunks into you pretty solidly, and you can definitely feel like poison seeping out of it as you're going, oh, my arm is going numb. It's like, but you do not start feeling unconscious. Let's put it that way. All right, so that was all of them. Some more crossbow bolts shatter against the side of the coach, and Smokey, it's your turn.
I'm gonna try to run these guys down in front of us.
Okay, animal handling, I guess.
Luckily for y'all, I'm proficient. Does not matter anyways, boys. Let's do this.
Okay. Well, I think it's you can only do the bless roll once per round, so it's already used up for the save. All right.
Well,
so
you can do it multiple
get-
times. It's just on attack rolls and saving throws. So,
It doesn't
that would
affect
be
skill
guidance.
checks. Okay,
Yeah,
never mind. Okay.
that's guidance.
That's guidance. Okay, you grab the whip, basically give it a loud crack. You manage to nick the back of your ear with the whip. It's like, ow, damn it, ow.
Do not have
As
proficiency
the
with
the
exotic
horses
weapons.
at least seem to get the idea and take off like bats out of hell. And like zoom away, you're slightly at a bad angle as you go flipping over the back of the coach and are hanging on for dear life on one of the footman stations.
Popcorn.
Okay, everybody else, I need deck saves as the coach goes zooming off into the night. Not manned by any coachman this time.
Do you need me to do a deck save too?
No,
I'm
I'm just
inside
saying
that.
we've already accounted for that. Your animal handling roll was your deck save roll at this purpose.
Dude, and I got proficiency in animal handling too, and it did nothing for
Yes,
me.
exactly. It's like you were too shocked by basically cracking yourself in the back of the head with the drover's whip to basically what? Ow, damn it.
Oh, I need to make a dex save. Fuck. Eh. Ah, I see.
Nice.
All right.
It was better. Then it rolled over.
That one.
Okay. Avani, wasn't really well secured, basically, and wasn't near to anything to grab onto as she goes flying all the way into the back of the coach and like slams her head into the back hard bit of the railing for 4 points of crushing damage.
Ow. The seat belts are too big.
Okay, Krishana.
Can I reach the driver to touch?
Not particularly, no. You're inside the coach, essentially. You're just leaning out a door at the moment.
Okay, can I try and climb over so I can reach the driver?
Okay, I need an athletics check to do this, or acrobatics, whichever is better for your character.
Let's see. Acrobatics. Ooh, not good. 8.
All right. You don't even make it that far, as you likewise basically get rocked back in the coach as it launches forward at high speed and like crack your ribs against the side of the door frame as you basically fall back into the coach. It's like, oh, as you also take 4 points of crushing damage.
Well, now the hooded guys are the least of our damage. Are Problem.
worries.
Okay, so effectively they can't shoot at you anymore, which is good because you're away from them because you're probably 60 feet down the road. Smokey, you're up again. So you're hanging on for dear life onto the back edge of the coach. So what are you doing?
I'm gonna try to get up to the front where I can get the reins again.
Okay, athletics or acrobatics, whichever is better for your character.
Let's see. All right, we're gonna do acrobatics. 5.
Okay. Did you roll 1?
I rolled a 2. I have plus
You rolled a
3
2. Okay. All right. This is not your team's night. Okay.
No, it's
All
not.
right. Smokey. Yeah. Smokey gets up just in time to basically catch a sign, a placard sign to the face. It's like he climbs up, basically looks straight up, basically catches a sign straight to the face, basically, and disappears off the back of the coach. As you take 6 points of crushing damage, as you're going, as you're beginning to see stars, it's like fortunately, or maybe unfortunately, you fall down a set of stairs into a cellar. As you're basically getting up, basically, fortunately it was a soft landing. There's some hay around here, and it's like you're not quite sure where you are at the moment. All right, and then let's see here. Now,
Me?
Aviani and Krishana, what are you doing?
Help me get to the driver, and I'm gonna try and climb out again to the driver so I can touch him.
So,
I'm asking her for
Aviani, are you going to give him the help action so he has advantage or no?
Instead of doing that, she's just gonna cast enhance ability on herself and jump up instead.
Okay, well, roll acrobatics or athletics, whichever is better for you. Hopefully with advantage now that you cast enhance ability.
Yep.
Okay, Krishana, go ahead and make it. Krishana, was your roll actually 8?
That was the last
that
one.
was with the
That was the last one. Okay, roll again. So both of you roll acrobatics or athletics, whichever is better for you.
11.
All right. You are struggling to get up there at this point. It's like it's just quite, as the coach is bouncing around all over the place, and just like you sort of made it outside on the side rail where the footman's rail is, and you're trying to like claw yourself up to the top, and it just both of you are fighting the same difficulty. The whole carriage is like bouncing up and down like a bucking bronco at this point, and you're wondering, it's like, do we stick it out? Or do we and try to get this thing under control, or do we leap off at this point? Both of them seem like equally 50-50 good ideas at this point, because the coach, as you can see at this point, the coach is basically headed like straight for one of the bridges, and it has a really good chance of basically going into the Thames at this point at the rate it's going.
Well, hell.
She is going to continue to try and reach the driver. She doesn't want him to die.
I will use bonus action healing word on my next turn to try and heal the driver.
Okay, fair enough. All right.
Get up and help us!
New set of athletics checks. If you fail this one, basically the coach crashes. By the way. So.
Which one?
Okay, both of you, another new set of acrobatics checks, I guess. So.
Oh boy.
If you both fail this one, basically the coach definitely crashes at this point. So.
17 this time.
All right, you scramble up to the top. You grab a hold of the reins and haul back on them as hard as you can. The 4 draft horses basically squeal to a clattering stop. Aviana basically goes flying off the edge of the coach, going "Ah!" as the coach suddenly stops.
I'm gonna cast Cure Wounds on the driver.
Okay, the driver suddenly wakes up. Like, what? He basically, it's like, oh, I thought I was dead there. As the 2 crossbow bolts go out of his chest. Aviana basically goes flying and unceremoniously hits the pavement, basically like face first for 6 points of damage. It's like,
Ow.
oof, oof, ow, ow, ow. She goes rolling for like 10, 20 feet. As soon as Krishana basically pulls the coach to a stop, you can see maybe about 100 feet back, Smokey is pulling himself out of like some basement area, essentially, where you're guessing was like an underground hay storage or something, because he's like covered in like all bits of straw and haze like sticking out all of his clothing. And then in front of you, you can see Aviana, who is like trying to get back up after it's like she has like a horrible road rash across like half of her face. But fortunately, you don't see the assassins that were trying to kill you anywhere.
Ow.
That's my next. That was
Ow.
my next question.
Ow.
All right, you all pile into the coach again. The coach was like, "Thank you, Mrs. and Sirs. Essentially, I'll offer you a refund as soon as we get to where we're going. Where you're going."
Well, I'm on this and she says her cross street.
Oh, you're just
You
around the
just-
corner, miss. Essentially,
Face
good
plant right
time
in
in
the
that.
front door.
As Aviana goes, "No, I'm not getting back in the cab. I'm walking to where I'm going." This sucks.
Before she leaves, she will cast Prayer of Healing. So she just
Okay.
kind of sits there for a moment.
Okay, so everybody heals 11 hit points.
13. There we go.
Okay, 13 hit points. There you go. All right, so everybody heals up 13 hit points from Prayer of Healing. As Aviana takes, it takes a minute to cast this thing, right?
Like 10 minutes.
10 minutes
It
to
has
cast
to be
this thing.
cast
Okay.
as a ritual. It has to be a ritual spell.
Yep, 10
Okay,
minutes.
so it takes 10 minutes to cast the thing. All right. So you sit down cross-legged on top of the coach, and then, you sit down cross-legged on the ground because I'm not getting on the coach again. Fuck that. Fuck that.
I'm not gonna leave you like that. Let me just heal you up.
Okay. All right. Everybody roll me a d8 and tell me if you roll a 1 or an 8.
Everyone or just everyone at the
Everyone
table?
present. So
Okay. The three of you.
the three of you.
4.
Well, shit.
You missed the space.
Yep.
I rolled a 2.
Okay.
I
All
rolled a
right.
6.
Nothing particularly happens to you while you take this 10 minutes to heal up. So you heal up. Aviani takes a moment to walk around the corner and basically to her flat and her office and close and lock up the door behind her and sleep of the dead, as vampires are often wont to do. You sort of just flop on the hard pine floor and taking that siesta. In the morning, you're sort of checking your face. Okay, well, it's a little pink, but it is all healed up. It is a little pink.
You'll live or unlive, I guess.
Maddie gets dropped off at his office. Krishana gets dropped off at her sort of swanky penthouse apartment. You eventually reconvene in tomorrow at basically 10 bells on Big Ben as you meet at London Bridge. There's a good breakfast cafe nearby and they're offering that newfangled drink, coffee, essentially from the Americas. It's really popular. As you all are sipping your coffee, some black, some with cream, some with sugar, and eating a scone. You're reading the local rag sheet for this morning, and there's it looks like the stock market. There's basically there's trouble in the east, in Eastern Europe. Essentially, the Prussian Empire is having the Ottoman Empire. There's some sort of big hullabaloo with the Prussian Empire. Some duke or another got assassinated. It's like, who knows basically if this is a prelude to war or not. It's like
Wow.
the and then there's more local news. Apparently the latest cholera outbreak has been brought under control by the priests of the Lord, priests of the one true Lord, and by the grace of her Majesty. Well, may the Empire shine forever. The as this they're just sort of like just this glowing sort of wet rag piece about the grace and dignity of the crown, basically curing the sick and infirm again. And these rather snide remarks about how basically this wouldn't be necessary if we didn't have all these like Fey refugees over in South Wark. And then and then you find out more information about there apparently is a lockdown going on. There was some sort of bombing attempt at the House of Lords from some militant Fey faction. They were able to catch said individuals before they were able to set off their bomb. But this means basically all Fey refugees are hereby prevented. Denied exit from the city of London until basically until this investigation is done. So, all right, and then other than that, you basically read your daily lottery numbers and your horoscope, and then head on your very merry way for the day. Okay, so what is your next plans? What are you doing next?
I told the party about the gambling basement card game that might be linked to Addie's debt. It's just an inference. I don't know.
Sounds like it might be worth a mention, or not a visit.
Yeah, I could do some gambling.
I think we're forgetting the issue.
Oh, that's right.
We got a boy down in the mine. Otherwise, all this antidote business is a bit of a waste.
She's right.
That's a good
Also,
point.
I look at your forehead and realize it's like fucked up from something, and I just sort of start licking it because like it tastes like blood. I'm just like, why did you get hurt?
Oh yeah, that's probably important. We got attacked by hooded people in the last night.
And I didn't fall off the top of the station. The thing.
Insight check.
Can I roll opposing deception?
Sure.
I went flying into the pavement when the horses stopped.
Krishana will vouch for Smokey. No, he was very brave. He took the reins.
I got an
out
11
the
for insight.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about what I got.
No, you didn't. You fell off before I did.
Smokey still has like a black eye from last evening. It looks like he's nursing a shiner for where he whacked his head on like the side of a door or something.
Right, I got a huge knot on my forehead.
You all don't look too good.
I've been better.
All right, but the gist of it, everybody understands that there's someone hunting at least some of you at this point for some reason, and you're not quite sure why. Perhaps you're looking into something basically people don't want you looking into.
Well, then that means we're headed the right way.
Exactly. All right, so now you have a problem on your hands as you've sort of read the morning rag sheet and realize the only way we're getting back to that mine is if we sneak out of town at this point. We can't go through the main gate.
We can certainly try.
Do any of us Southwarders know anyone that has ties to smuggling in and out of the walls?
Well, Smokey does because he knows the snooker crew, but they happen to be like human supremacists, so they're not particularly. They're not going to be all that basically keen on helping out Faye.
I'm talking Southward.
Yes.
I could go check this place I hang out, see if anybody knows anything.
Well, gambling dens tend to be good places to track down shady individuals that can smuggle.
Well, the kids always know where to go hide and get out, so I guess I'll go talk to them.
All right. So if you want to talk to a couple urchins you know as a detective, you can certainly do that. So roll a d20 for me for your urchin contact. Higher's better.
I don't know how to do this anymore.
So close. Syntax is a bitch.
Okay.
Ooh.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna take my role because that makes it simpler. You talk to Lucy, who's this sort of goblin urchin informant. You've never quite been able to tell if she's actually a kid or if she's just a really small goblin. But either way,
she's
she's
just
really
like me.
good. She's a bright red-haired goblin girl, and always wears a blue kerchief over her hair. She's looking at you. So, all right, well, miss, we'll get right on that. She comes back maybe about 20 minutes later, and it's just like, yeah, we found somebody that can smuggle you across. It's gonna be 8 pounds a head.
All right, I guess I'll go talk to him.
That's one way, by the way. You'd have to pay him another 10 pounds to get back in.
That's hard. What
How
about
we
me?
Make it 10 for round trip.
Well, you can always negotiate for a round trip, obviously, but it's like if you don't get back in time, essentially they're not going to be there to meet you. So it's like,
I mean, I'll go talk to him, but I gotta get my crew.
all right, fair enough. Okay, she arranges a meet with the smuggler. And strangely enough, it is at the Fairies Fancy at the gambling den. So you show up that evening. The Lucy says, "Okay, you're to meet Kendrick. He's a half elvish, foppy individual. Will be wearing a crushed red velvet suit, knee-high black boots. Can't miss him. Blonde hair, blue-eyed. Essentially, complete fop. But well, if you want to invite your date to go to the Fairies Fancy, it's a relatively nice establishment. So yes,
Okay, yep.
all right. So Silver is like, so Fairies Fancy. I haven't been there in an age. Essentially, it's a fun place. Let's go.
I thought Silver
So
was the
Krishana
priestess, not
brings her
the-
date over with her to the Fairies Fancy. All right, so you all show up at the Fairies Fancy. The street is sort of a dull silvery gray from all the iron work that, and then you can see heavy like lumps of slag that have been thrown out from either smithing or smelting that basically spatter the street with weird sort of like odd shaped metallic looking nodules. The those of you who are of actual Fey ancestry, like even the half elves, sort of like have a deep unease about this place, as like cold iron is basically one of the main weapons. Basically, the Empire used to basically destroy Tir Nanog. Essentially, they despoiled the land essentially with supposedly enchanted iron, basically that was specially tuned to kill fairies. And destroy their ability to live their way of life and destroy their land. And it was effective. So everything around here sort of just has that sort of tinge of blood and iron. There's a sort of like singular bluish gas lamp at the end of the street that lights the sign to the Fairies Fancy, a sort of cartoony placard of what appears to be a fairy handing you a glass of wine. The artwork is sort of a notch above, but the sign has certainly seen better days as the paint is beginning to peel. You head in through a heavy sort of brass reinforced door with a single slot that opens as a sort of ogreish set of eyes sort of look at close set ogreish set of eyes sort of peer through the slot. It's like takes a look at a lot of you and see there's a good portion of demi-humans, and it's like the door, a heavy bolt you can hear being pulled aside as the heavy door creaks open as you see this 9-foot tall ogre basically lumbering over the entrance. It's like, come on in. Essentially, you're the right side of a crew. Poker in the back, three dragon ante on the left, basically. Craps and roulette up front, essentially. Those are the games we got this evening. £1 minimum bet.
Woo,
Welcome
games.
to the Very Fancy. You can see a large, well-stocked bar with a sort of glass mirrored facade behind it, sort of giving the appearance that the Fairy's Fancy is twice as big as it is. As you can see yourselves sort of reflected in the glass behind the bar. As you Silver sort of grabs Krishana's like, let's go to the roulette wheel. I think I basically Lady Luck is with me tonight.
She will follow.
The
Pay for a drink.
The rest of you can effectively see Kendrick. His feet are propped up on the bar. He's sitting on one of those high back bar stools, basically with a sort of a floppy fedora, basically like flopped down over his face as if he's taking a nap at the moment. You can see his sort of silvery rapier sheathed in like brass, like something silvery. Might be steel, might be actual silver. Like draped at his side, and as he seems to be taking a siesta at the moment. A sort of bored-looking human bartender is sort of wiping down crystal bar glasses at the moment and carefully stacking them on a shelf. He sees you sort of make a beeline for Kendrick and then walks away to the other side of the bar. Kendrick himself seems to be still asleep, as you are all sort of like surrounding him in a loose semicircle at the moment.
Oi, fophead. Wake up.
There's all you hear is the sound of heavy breathing as if someone is sleeping heavily.
Out of character, who is this again?
This is Kendrick. This is your contact. This is the smuggler.
This is the guy who's going to get us out of the city so we can go back to the mine.
I'm gonna like cautiously step up to him and kind of like gently poke him in the arm.
All right. He startles awake basically and sits up straight, basically, and straightens his hat. He's like, he has this beautifully groomed coif of hair, and his goatee and mustache are all like beautifully groomed and oiled. His eyes sort of have a mischievous glint to them, and as he basically looks around, starts like, you wouldn't happen to be that crew that basically Lucy turned me on to, would you?
No, we're the police. Yes. Yeah. Lucy's my contact.
Well, is it the police or is it that crew that is basically looking to hire me?
Of course, it's the crew. You think I'm in the police force?
Could be. Essentially, they have all sorts of informants in the police force. But yes, you look way too young. All right. Right, 8 pounds out, 10 pounds back in. Essentially,
How about 12 for both?
Let's see here. Fine, 12 for both, but you have to come back the same evening. I'm not waiting around.
Try.
Did you just negotiate 24 pounds instead of 18?
No, he's saying 12 total, essentially.
Oh, okay. Thank God.
No, it's going to cost you $12 each way. Yes, of course. Yes, absolutely. Let's shake on it. No, yeah. So I'm just going to take the intent, which is 12 total. So,
okay.
All right, 12 total. You have to come back the same evening, essentially. Otherwise, I still suggest the other normal arrangements where you signal somebody on the other side and arrange for you to be sneaked back through. There's no telling how long it'll take you basically to do whatever you're doing outside the wall. It's like, are you sure you wouldn't rather go with the 18 total?
For 6 extra gold, I'd personally go with 18.
I'd pay for 18.
Well, it sounds like your friends
thought it
basically
was
have
16.
are wise in what they need to do, so you may not be able to complete whatever you're doing in an evening.
Suppose that's fair.
All right.
How about
Anyways,
16 then?
fine. 16 it is, essentially. 8 up front now. I assure
do
you
one-
won't find a better smuggler. I'll guarantee my results going out of the city. I can't make the same guarantees going back in, but I have a better than 80% success rate.
I'll do him
Right.
one better. I'll give him 9 up front.
All right, I'll see what I can do basically to make you comfortable on the way out. He smiles, a broad smile, and you're going, this does not give me confidence. This does not give me... So Kendrick pockets all your various
Here we are, Fop.
various 8-pound notes. It's like so anyways, so where do you need to head out and where do you need to go to? So
We're aiming for the vicinity of the gypsy camp.
all right, that's easy enough. Southside's probably the least guarded, so we'll be going out through the smugglers' tunnels. But I would getting back in through the smugglers' tunnels. They're currently being watched, so getting you back in is really the hard part. So I can assure you, on your way out, essentially you'll face no troubles at all. So do you want to go this evening, because late night's the best? Nighttime is the right time, as it were.
Right away, as soon as possible.
All right, well, gather up your friend over there. It looks like he's settling in to basically start gambling with his date. So as he sort of eyes Krishna, who's like lovey-dovey with Silver at the moment.
I will yell over to Krishana, "Hey, we're on. It's time to go."
All right, she will bid adieu to Silver and
Okay,
excuse
so
herself.
Krishana, roll a persuasion roll for dumping your date basically in the middle of your date.
Oh, that doesn't look good. 6.
So Silver's like really, really put out by this. It's like, what do you mean? I had you for the whole evening. What the heck are you doing? It's like, sorry, I gotta go. It's like, I got a job to do. It's like, why did you invite me on
I'm
a
gonna
date?
try and leave her with the drink.
Like, she is just has her hands on her hips and she has that look in her eye that's like, fuck you. It's like, Krishana's going, this is not gonna be.
She's tried to set up another time.
This is like, oh, I am dead. Essentially, this is relationship. This is dead before it starts. As she angrily eyes daggers into your back on the way as you walk out the door. The Kendrick leads you down like the main thoroughfare towards the south gate, and then takes a quick.
Cast charm on her.
You could do what?
Oh my god.
Cast charm on her.
You gotta remember, half elves and elves are immune to that stuff, so you cannot cast charm on her.
Which you would know, because you are one.
True.
So you're pretty much sure that's like, nope, I'm not gonna be able to charm her using bardic music. This is not gonna happen. Okay. All right. So Kendrick sort of leads you down the main thoroughfare through the front gate, and then takes a quick detour to the left. Maybe when you're a block out from the gate. Leads you through a sort of merry maze of different alleyways, and then eventually drops down into a basement, and then through a secret door into the smugglers' tunnels.
Secret tunnel.
You've been told essentially that the smuggler tunnels exist, and you've just never seen them first person at this point. It's like, man, there's a lot of them down here. As you can see this network of tunnels like zooming off every which way into the distance. It's like, Kendrick, follow me closely and don't lag behind, because if you get lost in here, you might run into the traps that we leave for the blue helms and the black helm and the blackguard, and I can assure you they're not pleasant. As Kendrick sort of leads you like through this meandering path through this labyrinth of tunnels, and eventually You come to this sort of narrow tunnel that's maybe only about 3 feet high, and there's this track on it and these carts with that sort of run back and forth with this rope. It's like, all right, each of you lie belly down on these, or maybe lie like back up, flat of your back. But either way, basically, try to keep your head down so you don't whack your head on the ceiling. So this goes for about 100 feet right under the wall, all the way to the other side. One of my compatriots on the other side will guide you out of the tunnels from there. So we can never basically take people back quite the way they came. Otherwise, we reveal all our routes. So at least you know part of the way basically to get out this way. So if you have a good
Makes
memory.
sense.
So, anyways, one at a time, essentially, as he sort of lays you down flat, and basically they wheel you through along the tracks for about 100 feet. There's a slim half orcish woman at the other side in a green doublet and a sort of like jaunty Arrow Flynn cap. She helps you up, each of you up, and basically says, and she basically does a double yank on the rope to indicate that she's gotten the last person, and there's a double yank back indicating that was the last person, and as you all basically follow the half orcish woman out of here. It's like, all right, no names at this point, and I don't want you to know yours, and you don't know mine, and you've never saw me before, and that's how things work around here. Capiche?
Who the hell are you?
Very good. All right, so she leads you out through the outer maze, and eventually pops you out in a grassy field as this sort of very cleverly disguised piece of camouflage that looks like a piece of grass sort of flopped to the side. It's like, all right, so see that farmhouse over there? As he points at a darkened farmhouse that looks abandoned. Anyways, light a lantern or something over in a window, leave it there for about an hour, and we will come pick you up when you need to return. If you're not back in about a week, we're going to assume you're dead, and any remaining contract with us is off. Everybody got that?
Fair enough.
All right.
Sounds fair.
So you all pile out of there. She sort of flops the bit of camouflage back down, and then you can hear some sort of like door being closed and some sort of bolt being thrown behind that. All right, from here you're looking around. It's like you probably have got about an hour's walk over to the Romani camp from here. If you start, and she points you out where the road is. So the road is off to your right, about 45 degrees that way. Keep walking towards that clock tower over there, or bell tower, on that chapel. You'll hit the road, no problem. And then just take that down, and eventually you'll run across the Romani camp on your left. Good luck. All right, so it's about an hour later. Everybody roll me a d12 and tell me if I roll 1 or a 12.
A 12, yep. Got a 12.
12. Okay. All right, you're about to come up on the Romani camp when Isimi basically whispers to you out of the bush, "Psst, you lot come over here right now."
Anyone else hear that voice?
And she'll look at her. The bush is talking to me, and she starts walking over. Hi, bush.
Isimi stands up out of the bush. Honestly, thought you were more perceptive than that. It's like, you do understand, essentially, the other Romani don't like you around. So I knew you guys would eventually come back. So I've been keeping out a lookout for you. So, what are you back for this time? Did you find anything else about Matt?
We think we know where he is.
Did you figure out what happened to him?
Nothing certain.
I think he got lured out by a nightmare.
He seemed ill for a long time. I was always wondering about that. Did you find out why that was?
I think he got lured out by a nightmare. A curse.
You guys play any card games together?
No, I'm not really one for gambling. And Matt wasn't either. Though his boss basically is a big gambler, but it's more of a hobby than anything else. I don't think he really he's really ever lost a whole large amount of money, according to Matt, at least. So
What
nothing at
happens if
all.
people lose
You don't
a
know
large amount?
why Matt looked sick the last time I saw him.
Anyone, who don't like you?
Not that I know, essentially. I may have my rivals in the Romani camp, but I doubt they'd be so forward as to harm the person basically I was dating.
Know anyone who can curse people then?
Well, lots of the Witcher folk can. I can, in fact, essentially, but just like a minor hex, essentially, for those that cross the Romani. All of us have that ability. It's like
Nothing as
from
drastic
birth.
as nothing as drastic as what happened to Matt.
Well, whatever he had on him, basically, if it was a curse, essentially, it's like it was making him iller and iller to the point where it might have. It's like very few of the Romani can cast a death curse on somebody. I would have to assume it'd be something else.
Well, we have a good feeling that something lured him into mine. So we're gonna go down there.
All right. I knew I probably should have said something earlier, but like the elder seer basically says that there are bad things in that mine that all the Romani should avoid it at all costs. So you take care now when you're down there and looking around.
Well, I'd hope your courting
Hope
buddy
you're wrong.
will be okay, because he's probably down there.
Well, that sounds bad. So I hope you bring him back safe and sound. Okay,
I hope we come back.
She sort of wishes you well and tells you to take a wide berth around the camp, lest the Romani basically try to send you packing on your way. Because because freelancers in the middle of the dark can be up to no good, especially in the view of the Elder Romani. Let's put it that way. So you sort of make a wide berth around the camp to the stream and head over to the mine. You all swig your antidotes at this point and start shimmying down the elevator until you've all arrived at the bottom. There's a strong sort of like off mineral smell to the air around here. It stings your nose a little bit and makes it itch, but otherwise you don't seem to be suffering any ill effects.
Does my nose react any differently, more intensely than anyone else's?
You're sort of getting the feeling, essentially, it's numbing your sense of smell. You can't smell anything, so there must be something. That must be some of the poisonous effect of the gas, because you're past like 10 seconds down here, you sort of like smell your hand, smell your fur. You can't smell anything.
I've gone nose blind.
I simply stopped breathing.
Okay. You get.
I do have an extra
This is where we're going to
antidote,
leave
though.
it for this evening. You can hear whispered from the tunnel, essentially, that has the blue foxfire in it. Come with us. Come and play.
No, thank you.
That's why I didn't want to come down here.
Okay, and that's where we'll pick it up next evening. And